Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Say Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, my host companion, it's Seejie Sarowick. How you doing, Seejie?
I'm doing good. What's going on, man?
It's our 450th episode of the Say Report, so I think 100 episodes going by, we can finally reveal the actual title of our 350th episode. What do you think? Do you think that the people are ready for it?
Okay. Yeah, where are you going with this, bud? Go for it.
Well, no, it's the fact that we released it during the strikes, right? Like the WGA strike and the SAG-AFTRA strike. So generally for our 450th episodes, we look at a bunch of TV shows that have reached 450 episodes, and then I pastiche them together into something. But as a result of it being during the strike and them not wanting to promote anything, and we're like, yeah, we'll follow that, right? We're not in the unions, but we're solidarity, right? Entertainment's a big deal. We redacted all of the references. So our 350th episode is Devon redacted, Seejie's redacted to avoid redacted between redacted, who are redacted. But the original title now revealed here, and I will update the actual episode on YouTube and on the podcast stuff so you can actually see it.
Oh yeah, get those new numbers.
Yeah, right.
That new number boost.
Devon saves Seejie's rings from being lost in Stewie's first word to avoid future drama between fathers and sons who are better on paper. I really liked the fact that 2 episodes had fathers and sons as the name of their 350th episode. I could not tell you what those were. Oh no, it's actually just an episode of Dallas that is titled Fathers and Sons and Fathers and Sons.
Fucking Dallas.
Yeah. And then the Devon saves Seejie's rings is based on the 350th episode of Sesame Street. David saves Maria's rings from being lost in the drain. God, crazy. Also, just so people don't lose their collective minds, we're recording this one on Monday, so it should still be releasing on Monday. We're not missing a Monday on this one. But, we wanted to get a little nostalgic on you. So we're like, why not record on a Monday? And that's what we're doing. That's what we used to do in the first season. My parents would watch Dancing with the Stars, and I'd come down and record an episode. So
yeah, back when we tried to stick to under an hour and talk about only 2 things an episode.
Yeah, remember that? How the hubris that we had. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, you want to know what's wild is that we're doing this in the midst of me doing a replay of Shantae games. I am deep in Risky's Revenge at the moment, but yeah, I'm deep into Pirate's Curse at the moment. Risky's Revenge is what I was playing, and then I've got a couple of others I'm going to because there's been a big old sale on it recently. But yeah, Shantae is real big again in 2025.
Well, I watched Sing Street this morning. I had also intended to start the newest released Shantae game, Shantae Advance Risky's Revolution. It is purchased and downloaded on my PlayStation 5, but some other things got in the way, and we're going to talk about those other things as the episode progresses. But one other thing, just housekeeping, because I have said to myself, we're going to talk about this literally every episode since I said the combo letters were removed from the Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4. The combo letters were not removed from the game. You just need to complete the game to unlock the pro goals for each of the levels. And then, oh my god, the combo letters are back. So people got real upset over the combo letters not being in the game, but they gamified it more, which is nice, because I think one of my biggest complaints about 1 and 2 was how ungamified it felt. These are not words, right? I feel like an idiot saying that, but it's...
No, gamified is a concept nowadays. It's an interesting idea because it's a way to balance I don't know if I agree with them doing this or not, but here's where I think it comes from, right? Is like people that are new to the Tony Hawk series and stuff like that, like they wanted to make an experience that people could kind of just be nostalgic about, but also kind of come in, ease into. And then the fact that they like were like, but if you're really good at this, you'll be able to unlock all the shit that you used to do, feels like a good idea on paper, but I don't know, man. I mean, they seem so hard pressed to just buy that people just want to play these games again. Like, as close as they have gotten with these last two releases, like they still don't seem to quite want to just admit that what people want is just an up-resed version of what they already played. And like, I don't love it either. Like, I'm not saying that they should bend to the will of the people on this one, because I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think every game needs a remake. Like I think accessibility to those games is important, right? Having the ability to go back and play these games in some legal, reasonable way, I think should be, part of the whole process. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I feel like they need to be rebuilt all the time, right? Like, and so in that, you kind of have to justify that rebuilding, and so I kind of understand why this stuff got buried like that, but I also don't necessarily blame anybody who popped the game on for the first time, didn't see the shit they wanted to see, and were like, I don't feel like playing this game if what I want is not immediately like visually appealing to me, right? Like you need to make sure that people understand what they're buying into in some way. I would say, or you need an audience that trusts you, but like the Tony Hawk games, even with as good as 1 and 2 were, they have not earned an audience like blindly trusting them in a long time.
Well, so I'm going to be like, we did that episode, Ollie the Magic Bum, where I finally played through Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. And then now that I done, like, I can go and I'll try 1 and 2. And my biggest complaint about 1 and 2 is how you unlock new stages. Like, it is fundamentally different to how you unlock stages in the original game. And it sort of ruined what made the first game so special to me. I'm sure I talked about this in the episode, because I did say I want to give a little bit of time to the remakes. But what I liked about the first game is you were basically fucking stuck once you got to a level. And it was achieving things in that level that opened up new levels for you to experience. So in a weird way, getting better at the game is what got you more game. But in this one, it's completing. I might be wrong on this one. I gotta look it up to confirm. But like unlocking levels.
I mean, you have to. So at least in 1+2, you have to complete a certain number of goals before the next world unlocks, and like, that's not exactly the same as needing specific goals, right? And I think that's what you're maybe referring to.
Yeah, so there are like specific goals, or it's money based. Like the way that you unlock stuff in the first game felt real. It felt like it was rewarding me for playing the game properly. And it wasn't like, and I was stuck in places like as far as I wanted to, but I feel like I'm more stuck in it. Because is it completing a number of goals in each level? I should probably finish what I was actually like typing in. You got me all excited.
I mean, that's the way that it works in 1+2, the re-release from a couple of years back, and like the idea being that like you don't necessarily have to do everything in a level to go to the next one, but there is definitely a good number of stuff that you need to accomplish, and then at some point you hit a point where you also need medals and things like that too.
Right.
So like there's a bunch of that going on, and I don't know. I mean, that feels pretty similar to what it used to be in the past, but I could also just be misremembering, because I've only been playing 1+2 now for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Before that, I was going back to the actual game. Well, I was going back to Thug more than anything, but like the ways in which you unlocked characters and stuff was a little bit more obvious, and cheat codes weren't hidden behind menus. Like you could put stuff in and it would unlock the codes for you to put on it. There was a lot of stuff that they moved into the menus that used to be felt a lot more organic and felt a lot more on the player to be responsible for. And like by putting it in the menus, it was also behind like unlocking money and doing certain things. They have like 3 different goal systems, which I don't love. It's kind of convoluted in that way, because like there's there's individual goals, there's team goals, there's style goals, there's all sorts of weird it almost feels like playing in an MMO, right? Like it almost feels like here are your dailies, here are your weeklies, here are your here are your big challenges, that kind of shit. And if you can pull those off, you can unlock certain things. But if you're not there at the right time on the right day, or if you're just not in the fucking mood, like it's like maybe I don't want to do an ollie 3 times in the warehouse today. Maybe I want to do something else. It feels like they made things so hyper specific in the goal system in the remakes that like it does kind of take away from some of the like openness that those games had back in the day.
Yeah, that's what it is. So that's what I'm talking about. So it's based on money to unlock levels, and that's the whole thing. So like you don't unlock the school until you've earned $1,000. Now the nice thing about that is that in the hangar, like it's all relatively small stuff, but essentially, yes, I'm going to have to complete. I mean, I get a 6 score of 75,000. I'm probably not going to just do that to like, that's 500 right there. And then I have to do other ones, but it's not like X amount of goals. Goals have their different values based upon what you're doing. All of the goals are not the same value. I think that's what it is, that there's no valuation on what you complete in the level. Like, for example, it felt pretty fucking good that first time I wall rode all 5 bells in the school. Like, and that's $500. But then you get $400 for collecting the skate letters. Now, granted, that's not, like, it's pretty difficult in the school level. But, like, it does feel like maybe worth $100 less than riding over all of the bells. But also your money is additive. So if you're not great at everything in the school, right? Like say you can't wall ride those 5 bells, so you're stuck behind that $500 you get from it, you can go back to the hangar and try to earn that $500 there. Like it,
right, you can get the money somewhere else, right?
It's a way to like incentivize you to go back to other levels as well. I don't know. It's just one of those situations. That was the thing that didn't jive with me. That all of the goals essentially had the same value after there being this kind of nice valuation system. And so it's not that I was speedrunning it, but I was trying to see everything in a career of a skater when I played the original PlayStation version. So I was looking at how much each goal was worth and finding like, okay, so these are the ones I should focus on to move on to the next place. And when I was like a couple $100 short, it's like, well, I'll go back to the hangar. And now that I'm better at other things, I should be able to get a 6 score, no problem.
Well, and it let you kind of focus on whatever way you want to play the game, because, like, I had friends that could pull off combos real easy and, like, get the 6 scores, get the combo scores, get the specials and all that shit in, like, one go. I, on the other hand, was much more of an explorer type thing, you know, where it was like, hey, you know, do an ollie off of the, or, you know, do a lip on this path pipe hidden in a back room somewhere, right? Or open up the outside area, or you know, find the secret tape, that kind of shit. Like I was always much more into doing that kind of weird shit. Like I want to break the game. I want to figure out all the silly shit you can do. I want to, I want to do a jump over the fucking. I want to do a backflip over the helicopter outside, like that kind of shit. Ollie the Magic Plum, as it were. Like that was always kind of my goals, and like that's how we would play, right? Like we would hand things off. I would do some of the weirder stuff, hand it off to them to do some of the score stuff. We would go move on to other levels. Whenever we would go to the competitions, I actually would handle the competitions because I was really good at keeping up manuals and lip stands and all sorts of shit that you could just do a bunch of weird like combos to get the multiplier up, and I was always really good at that stuff, slapping the wall to like bounce back, that kind of shit. Put the stickers up. Like so there was all sorts of cool stuff you could do with the game, even if you didn't necessarily play in like a get good way. Whereas it feels like with these remakes, they've really focused on one style of play, and that is like hardcore gamer. And I get why they do that. Again, like from a business standpoint, it totally makes sense. You're remaking at this point 20-year-old games, like you want to just kind of give. You want to give it the best shot you can, and that's a guaranteed audience of hardcore gamers that love this game. So we're just going to focus on this one way of playing it, make it a little bit cheaper than other games, and it's out there. And I gotta say, compared to their other methods of going back to this franchise over the last 15 years, it's at least the best choice that they've made so far. It's not my favorite because, again, I miss some of the creative aspects of it. I miss like being able to go in and customize like tags that you can put on the wall, or like making your own T-shirts and shit. And like there's all sorts of weird stuff that you don't get to do anymore that I miss. I miss the weird stuff.
Yeah. And I think that's, it all feels very sanitized, right? Starbucked. All the levels feel the same, right? Everything at least in 1 and 2, everything feels like 2. Where I have gone back and I have played Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and been like, yeah, there's a reason why 2's the one that took off. 1 really, like, proved the concept, and then in 2, they had the money, and they open sourced suggestions from the players to make the game better. And now they just want to like
one succeeded because of its game breaking cheats and unlockable character, like its weirdness.
Yeah.
1 only worked for me as a gamer once I could fly in the air and score 90,000 points on on some type of like fucking kickflip or hold of some kind, right? Like once I could balance continuously and go around circles on the fountain in the city level, like that kind of shit. Like that was when it became a fun game to me. Whereas like I had friends that were not into that kind of shit, so they played like Skate, like they played other franchises.
Right. And there was so much room that you could have 2 skateboarding franchises. Imagine having 2 spaghetti dinners, but they're skateboarding franchises, Seejie. Wild stuff. But yeah, so I just wanted to be
much more into Skate now if they were to lean really hard into the body physics and like the ragdolling, a la like fucking Pain for the PS3, like where you scored points for like just the further you went with like broken bones and shit. Because like Skate is like ripe for that kind of ridiculousness. The number of streamers that actually made their ducats on like Skate crash out videos were, back in the early like 2010s, it was a whole genre unto itself. Was, I'm going to play Skate, the skateboard simulator, but I'm going to just crash the entire time and let's see what the body physics do. Was like a whole fucking genre of YouTube video.
Yeah. I don't know. I was really never into I wasn't even really into Tony Hawk, right? Thug was the first one that I really connected with. But I did want to make sure, because I had brought to the attention of everybody that it didn't have the combo letters. And that was the big thing that people were citing when they're like, this one is less of a, like, full, not full, correct, what's the word I'm looking for here, Seejie? True. Yeah, it's less of a true remake because of the things that they didn't bring over. And it felt like at the time that they're like, they kind of cheaped out on it. They did the lazy thing. But really what they did was lock it behind something, which is actually where I'd like to transition this conversation, still talking about video games, because I am 2 trophies away from platinuming Shinobi, Art of Vengeance. And love it. That game is incredible. As much as I gushed...
the platinum, or...
What do you mean? No. So 2 plus the platinum. I don't really so it's 3 trophies if you look at it. I need to get through a level in arcade mode without taking damage. And then I have to S rank all 12 levels without taking damage in arcade mode. Not without taking damage. Just have to take S rank in arcade mode, all 12 levels.
Okay. Nice.
And, like, I'm real good at that first level of the game. I have not gotten anywhere close to an S rank. And I think my issue there is, I can't do it hitless, because, like, there are, like, 4 things that, like, give you check marks. And then the 3 of them I can get, the one I can't is to get through completely damageless. But I also think it would be very, like, weird if you gate kept an S rank behind taking no damage when there's a trophy for taking no damage. So I don't think that's it. But as I've run through that first level a bunch of times, this Shinobi game, Art of Vengeance, is kind of like a Metroidvania. It's not, because it's not a huge interconnected world, but in the desert level, you get a glider, and that glider unlocks a bunch of locations in earlier levels that you could not access before, where, like, wind is gusting up.
I'm not trying to steer the conversation back towards me just yet, but this is something that I'm running into in Pirate's Curse as well. Is it's not like a big interconnected world, a la something like Risky's Revenge, where like you can move around and all that, and you gain powers and you can go back and all that. But there's like a hub that you go to, and then you can go to old levels and do new things in them with the powers that you've got. It's not quite the same, right? Like they're two different things.
I also think, and I don't remember this, but I will bust it out. If you could tell me the first dungeon that you cleared in the game, I think that you can choose where to go within the game world, right?
No.
Like, okay.
No,
I thought,
you get the map for the next island, and you go to the next island. You have to complete the island in order to get the map for the next island, and you only get that map for the next island.
So you're playing Pirate's Curse? That's not Half
Curse.
Genie's Tarot? Yeah, there's 5 islands altogether. Because I felt like there was a time, maybe it's on like New Game Plus or something like that, where I'm like, oh, now that everything is open to me from the beginning, because I thought like, oh, if I could solve this dungeon first, then I would have that item that you unlock from the dungeon.
Maybe. The way that I'm playing right now, that's not how it's playing. It is very linear, but but I have not approached a New Game Plus yet, so that could easily
maybe it was that. I'll have to. The fact of the matter is, I really do want to go back and play through Pirate's Curse again, but I remember there being a time where I'm like, I wonder if I could get that beforehand and then go through everything faster. But like, I think it's one of the things where what you unlock is not tied to what dungeon you unlock, but rather like every time you beat whatever dungeon you beat first gives you a certain upgrade for that world. I don't know. It was in it's these are like going back 9 years.
There's a charge. Yeah, there is a charge upgrade that is basically like a super run that you can do that definitely once you go back to older worlds, you realize that they are designed to use that as a shortcut method. So that might be what you're talking about exactly, because if I had the charge run move that you get in like the third or fourth dungeon, if I had that in the earlier dungeons, even the hub world, there would have been a million things that wouldn't have been a problem for me. So like, because in addition to running really fast through the screens, you have a sword out the entire time, so you're constantly
killing everything.
Doing damage. And the more things you hit with the run, the more damage you do. So you eventually get to a point pretty quickly, especially if you've got the upgrades going. You get to a point where you're just one-shotting shit, and you're auto-collecting stuff as you run through things, like monster milk and lobster tails and shit. So, like, you're auto-running with a sword out, doing 3 or 4 times more damage than you normally do, plus you're breaking through walls that you didn't know you could break through before and things like that. So, like, if you're talking about anything, I would bet 100% it's that.
It's actually how the double jump like works in the game. You end up getting additional jumps. So like, yeah,
that might even be last level. I don't even know if I have that.
Yeah, I don't think you don't have that. That was the last thing that I unlocked, and I'm like, if I could somehow find a way to get to the last level and have that from the beginning of the game. Like nothing in this level was too difficult to navigate, but something did it. And also I could be thinking of risky mode in Half Genie Hero, because you play through that one with basically all of the movement tech from Pirate's Curse. I need to play the game again. That's just a fact. And that'll happen probably at least before our 500th episode, if not before the start of season 10. Like I said, I was so into Shinobi, and it's this, I don't hate that style of game. The Bloodstained Curse of the Moon games are like that, where you go through the levels and then like you'll unlock somebody, and then with their moveset, you can find a different path through other levels, which allows you to find like upgrades to health and magic. So I don't mind a game like that. And I certainly don't mind it in this new Shinobi game, but it's one of those situations where the first time through the level, you're not really working out how to collect everything. And I did realize when you collect, like in the first level, there's, you have to collect the chest with the Fire Nimpo spell in it. And when you open that, you get a medal. And at the recap screen where it's like, you've collected everything, it tells you how many medals you got. And my guess is, like, collecting all of those medals and still finishing the level in a quick time probably adds to the S rank of it all. So
I've been trying to figure out if you said fire nympho spell this whole time. Is that what you say?
no, Ninpo, Ninpo. I don't.
Okay.
It's a Shinobi thing. If you're a Shinobi player, you got it.
A fire nymph, maybe, but I don't think they call it a fire nympho.
No. It's a fire Ninpo spell. It allows you to blow fire. Just like the water Ninpo spell allows you to parry, which we'll get to that part of it. But that whole thing, so the arcade mode, for me, I just want to run through the level. First of all, I will say this about Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I have watched none of the story. And I feel like kind of an asshole about that. But the reason...
You never do.
What?
You never do.
Well, I mean, there's that part. There's that part of me. But when I was playing the demo, I'm like, I skipped all the story elements because I just want to get to the game. And then when I'm playing, I'm like, oh, these suck. I just want to get to the game. Like, I figure the demo is to tell me if I enjoy the gameplay of it, right? The story will be something I pay for. And then I'm just like, nah. I mean, I can tell you kind of an idea, and I want to know if I'm right about it. I've beaten the game twice.
I've got the plot up here in front of me, so why don't you tell me what you think this game is about?
So, Lord Ruse has ceased the cycle of life and death in the world in an attempt to assume the power of the Grim Reaper as his own. Am I close?
Okay. There's a lot that seems to be going on here that is hinting at that. So wait, let me get through here.
I mean, that's at the very end. It's revealed that the whole thing was because you end up teaming up with Anku, which is a term for the Grim Reaper in that whole mythology is the Anku. Like, because they don't have just one Grim Reaper. They have like a team of Grim Reaper referred to as Anku. And one of the Anku teams up with Joe Higashi in order to help him because what Lord Ruse is doing is disrupting the cycle of life and death. And I'm fairly certain, this is my headcanon, and if I'm incorrect about this, I'm going to be really pissed off because, like, the end screen is that Joe Higashi's wife has their son, but I think, like, she's eternally pregnant because there are no new souls to enter into his son's body upon birth. So the way that nature is balancing things out is by keeping her pregnant. Until the time where, like, in reincarnation, a soul can filter into that body.
I can confirm about 40% of what you said, and none of it is what you said in the last 2 minutes.
Well, again, I said that part was headcanon. Because I think...
So, it looks like there is a paramilitary organization led by
E&E.
Lord Ruse.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm not seeing anything about the, like, cycle of life stuff other than just that they attack a clan called the Oboro village, which Ouroboros, like, cycle.
Oh, so first of all,
kind of see.
I'm so happy that you said Oboro like that because it's Oboro. Like the narrator says, they are the Oboro clan. And the whole time before I heard that, I always said it the way you did it. So I don't feel bad, but Ouroboros is what we're both approaching it as. And it's a snake clan. Like the snake is their symbol. So yeah, it makes sense that we would say Oboro, not Oboro.
Yeah.
So. What do you got?
Oh, it's the second half of Ouroboros. Okay, I get it now. But it's all just everything that you missed seems to be the interpersonal stuff of, like, specific ways in which characters play into it. It's like you generally get the idea of what's going on in the world, but you seem to be missing kind of any of the, like, dramatic, like, micro level stuff about, like, people being married and there being like and being old enemies that were friends and, like, and at one point and how they tricked each other. The Grim Reaper, like, figure that you pointed to, the Anku, it's not that there's a group of them, but rather there is just one constantly being replaced by the next.
Yeah.
So if one is killed, another one becomes it. That kind of thing.
Like the Santa Claus.
It's not like the Grim Reaper is like the Santa Claus, exactly.
You killed me. No, now you gotta be the Grim Reaper, you fucking idiot. Ha ha! Freedom. Well, I guess, like, I didn't talk about Tomo, Joe Higashi's student. I didn't talk about Shayo and how she was a former student, a former resistance member going up against Lord Ruse, who was ultimately caught and brainwashed by the ENE Corporation to be their general.
Yeah, you seem to generally get what's going on.
Okay, good. But the thing is that, like, so the end of it, and that would make sense why, like, a plot synopsis, if
and
you're on, like,
ENE,
Wikipedia.
And, like, the other big plot thing I think is important is that ENE, it turns out, is creating the like crisis essentially.
Oh yeah, that's the God. When you unlock the Shadow Master from I think Return of Shinobi, the final boss, ENE has cloned him, and like he's a secret super boss in the game, and that fight was incredible. Like just as a fan of Shinobi games.
Nice.
So it's interesting. And also the fact that the cycle of life and death, that really comes at the end of it. Because you wind up in this limbo space that Lord Roose has created for himself. And all of the souls of your clan that he has wiped out, they're trapped there. So when you get there, they're like, oh God, they got Higashi. It's the end of the Oboro clan. And it's like, no, the Oboro clan. I'm not going to say it the way they say it. The Oboro clan, like it's over now that Joe has passed. And he's like, no, I'm still alive. I'm here to kick that guy's ass. You all want to help? And they join in with you. And then once you defeat Lord Ruse, the conversation with Anku is, now that he's done, the cycle of life and death can continue, and these souls can finally be reincarnated into new bodies. So, like, which tracks, right? It takes place in Japan. So the fact that they would be focused on, like, reincarnation as an idea of what the afterlife is, tracks based on many of the Eastern philosophies. And I liked that idea because there's that subtle fact that Joe's wife is pregnant. And that's like, maybe they talk about it as well. But then the idea that she cannot give birth to their child until there is a soul to inhabit the body. It is something that came to it, especially when, like, the windscreen is your child is finally born. And there's that whole speech at the end about you've restored the cycle of reincarnation.
So when do we get the Alex Kidd mod for this one?
Dude, have you heard about the Sega Villains pack that, like, is coming? No. Dr. Robotnik is going to be the boss of that level. Like, there's going to be a level where, like, you go through Sega worlds fighting Sega enemies, and the final boss is going to be Gerald Robotnik. I mean, Ivo Robotnik. Gerald's his father. Ivo Robotnik. And I'm stupid excited to see what that could be. And there's apparently going to be one additional one. Like, I ended up getting, I know I say I wasn't going to do this, but with game releases, right, with the reveal that Silk Song comes out this week, and the reveal, and, like, looking forward to Kirby and the Lost Forbidden Lands re-release, if I bought the deluxe edition of Shinobi, which was $10 more, I would get Shinobi 3 days early, and I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to do that, but, like, 3 early days to play and complete Shinobi would be huge with how my, like, gaming calendar is right now. And as a bonus, I will get to play that level where you fight Dr. Robotnik at the end. Like, I'm stupid excited to see what that's going to be. I want him in one of the friggin' egg capsules. That's what I want it to be. But it's good. It's a very good game. I really enjoy it. What I want to talk about, things I definitely want to make sure I mention, is there is a trophy for beating the final boss in 10 hours. You can do that on an assisted difficulty. My first playthrough was on the standard difficulty that it starts you on, which is Shinobi difficulty. That is also why I am ranking Shinobi Art of Vengeance higher than Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which there's a deal, not sponsored at all, but in Steam, because people love ninja games, they're running a combo deal right now where you get both of them and you end up saving 10% off both games if you buy them together. And I think that's through the end of the week. This week when this episode releases. But starting you on the hardest difficulty and then allowing you to modify down is what I prefer. Ragebound, hiding the hard difficulty behind the completion of the game, that I don't like that. I don't think that these style games, right? Like ninja games from our youth, are meant to bust your fucking balls. Bust
Yeah,
my balls from the start. And that's all I have to say. And then give the option to modify if it's too difficult for modern players. Or for older players who might not have the same, hand-eye coordination and reflexes they had when they were younger.
Yeah, the dexterity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's again, it comes back to the idea of preservation and what are you trying to preserve? Are you trying to preserve the nostalgic experience of playing this game, or are you trying to preserve this piece of history for what it was, right? And like, there are two different camps on that, right? There are people out there that believe that when you do this kind of stuff, when you revisit this specific genre of game, you can't make it easy because they were never easy. That wasn't the point of them. But there's another group of people out there that are like, yeah, but we want this to be accessible to people so that it doesn't get forgotten. And it's I don't know if one side's wrong or right on that,
Well, and that's why, this is what we yell at Nintendo about, right? Nintendo never gives you the option. Nintendo tells you you're either getting the hardest balls game that alienates like half of our base, or you're getting an easy, like sort of very accessible game that alienates that other half of our base. Mm-hmm. But you're living in our world. I love that Ragebound and Art of Vengeance gave you the options to like modify the game. And also I have to say, like, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound gives you the ability to be invulnerable. You do not take damage except from falls. Like, Shinobi doesn't do that. But it does give you stuff that, like, makes the game feel more manageable. Because I beat it in 3.5 hours. My second run through the game. And on that one, I went down to the lowest difficulty and all that. But I could still take deaths. I didn't have my first death until the desert section in a chase sequence. Which I have to say, I'm super impressed with Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Because they have, like, half the levels have these beautiful set piece chase sequences in them, and they never feel like a crutch. They never feel the same. Even playing through them 2 times, like, every one is just, like, exciting as to how this happening feeds into the level that you're in. Like, when you're on a train, right, and you're trying to get up to the front of it, you're being chased by, like, a fighter jet. And that feels cool. Where you're in the city, you're being chased by a helicopter over cranes and things. And it's like, so it just felt good. When you're in one of the labs, it's probably the submarine lab, there's like a pole gets punctured in it, and you're running against water. Like, you don't want to drown, because Shinobi can't swim. Historically, Shinobi can't swim. That's why you need yellow Shinobi to walk on water in the Game Gear game. If we're talking about, like, the spectacle of Shinobi is there, this game plays so fucking smooth. The amount of movement tech that you have available to you in Art of Vengeance Sejohn is incredible. You can just do whatever you want as Joe Higashi in this one. And then, stun locking, right? You're familiar with the term stun locking and, like, beat 'em ups?
Yeah.
So, first of all, this is developed by Lizard Cube. So the same people who did Streets of Rage 4 and Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap. This is their third game. It's a team of 11 people who make these games. So far, they've completely done these, like, remasters, reimaginings of old Sega properties. If you haven't played Wonder Boy the Dragon's Trap, it is excellent. But Streets of Rage 4... it has such depth to it, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance totally plays into, like, their whole design philosophy. I don't care that it takes them 5 years to make a game, because they make games that are excellent. There is one complaint about Shinobi, and that is that in the submarine level, your cursor does not move on the map. Right? And I think that may have just been, like, a bit of an error I had. Like, it was a glitch how I loaded the map once, so then I was stuck in one place. So I had to, like, actually navigate the map like it was a map. Not like, oh, Higashi is here. Like, as I was moving, I'm like, well, I think I'm in this corridor. I don't have my map marker. And that's the only complaint that I have. And again, I think it was a glitch, and I haven't really been able to have it happen again. But in both of the laboratory levels, I had that occur. And those are like big labyrinths, which I also think is clever that the laboratories are labyrinths, because they're both labs. I'm an asshole. I'm sorry. I apologize. But yeah, it's just the game's really good. But like stun locking, right? Like it's a thing you do in fighting games, beat 'em up games, where you can just keep an enemy from moving if like maybe you don't finish the combo. You do the first 3 hits of the combo, you wait long enough to reset the combo, and the person won't be able to move. So you have such depth of combos in Shinobi Art of Vengeance that like you don't see that in Ninja Gaiden. In Ninja Gaiden, you just slash your sword. That's all you do. And in the Shinobi games prior to that, that's kind of all you did too. But you have these great combo moves, and the way that you stun lock enemies is proper usage of your dodge skills. So like when you attack, if you hit the dodge button, he'll do a backflip out of the attack so that like I got my attack and I won't do it. But then eventually you unlock moves that if you enter, the proper key sequence between low, heavy, and like melee, not melee, projectile attacks, while you're doing that backflip, you'll do additional moves. So you can essentially dodge lock enemies, which I don't know if there's another game that allows that, but like learning the proper dodge timing allows you to pretty much kill anything in the game. But it felt
like a dodge parry or something. I'm trying to think of anything else does that.
Yeah, because it's
that's
not
wild though.
Because it's not a parry.
Part of the right. Well, and part of the bit of stun locking is that you want to be right up on them when you stun lock so that you can continue to hit them. A dodge lock, but do you have some good like moving moves?
So yeah, one of the first things you unlock is it's like a double slash. So when you dodge, if you immediately hit the light attack, he spins forward like a helicopter. So like what it feels like it's supposed to be used for is so that you're not dodging backwards. It's a way to take your dodge from going away to going forward and through the enemy, because you're doing like damage. So you're not taking damage when you do damage to them, if that makes sense. Like you're still in sort of a dodge thing, but then like you can chain that together, and then eventually like you can dodge out of it to do that to a diving kick, which then you can turn into like a buzzsaw sword attack. And if you're like real good at like knowing when to change and when to dodge again, you can like just keep them caught in sort of a killing floor while you dance around them with your sword. And it's not easy.
That's awesome.
Like you like
it almost feels like in a weird way, it almost feels like Batman-esque.
Yeah,
like
it's
the Arkham series, where like you can jump to the other side of the floor in one move while somebody is stunned behind you, which gives you time to take out one guy, but then you can go back to the guy that was just stunned and finish him off and things like that. Like it in a weird way, it seems like an earlier version of that kind of sense.
Yeah, it is. It just feels so good. Like the movement's great, the combat's great, the exploration is rewarding. It's not like something like Shadow Labyrinth, which I'm finally ready to say Shadow Labyrinth, bad game. As much fun as I had with it, it is such a padded experience. Shinobi, like it feels like they set out to make a 10-hour experience. Right? Which is why if you can beat this in less than 10 hours, we'll give you a gold trophy, right? We'll give you the highest value of, achievement points that is allowed.
Shadow Labyrinth feels like the joke is pretty much run into the ground within the first few hours. The fact that you could play it for an additional 10 or whatever seems ridiculous to me.
It's a 40-hour game. Like, I've been talking to people and they're like, there's no reason that this game is 40 hours long. Like, there's just so much. You walk through areas where there's nothing to fight. And it's like, this just feels like padding. This feels like exploration padding. And, like, I'm not going to 100% that game because I don't care to collect 20 more sparkling stones. And anytime I'd, like, find a new place to explore in that game, like 90% of it, I would get a sparkling stone for all of my efforts to fill in the map.
Does the joke ever feel like it evolves in any way? Like, do you run into any other like old Atari?
Oh, I mean, so there is the USGF, I think is what it's called. USGF Pac-Man. The United Galaxy Space Force. a fictional military organization that combines all of the old, like, Midway games. So Bosconian is there. Xevious is there. Like, the Xevians are who you're attacking as a Galaxian. You're a Galaxian soldier attacking Xevian soldiers. At one point in the game, it turns in... What?
In Shadow Labyrinth?
In Shadow Labyrinth, yeah.
Okay.
And you're on the planet Xevious, and there are Bosconians who are on the planet as well, who are, like, taking shelter there. Eventually, there's a section of the game that's dig dug. Like, you have to use your hook shot to shoot Figars and Pocos and then blow them up. I think I've mentioned that before. But yeah, you fight Galaxians and Galaga. Like, it's this really cool, like, if you're ever interested, like, so it's Namco, it's the Namco games. The United Galaxy Space Force is this whole timeline that links together all of their games, because everything needs a connected universe now. And that's how Namco did it, is using the United Galaxy Space Force. But yeah, like,
okay, I mean, but like, there is a little bit of the, but yeah, I still don't know if how the joke is expected to hold up for 40 hours. You know, it's the same problem that Matt Hazard had and fucking Duke Nukem and all that. Comedy games are just bullet.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's weird because, like, I don't think of Shadow Labyrinth as a comedy game. Like, it really does feel like. But at the end of the day, the elevator pitch for it is, what if Pac-Man, but, like, hyper serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like the secret level at Pac-Man episode is a far better representation of Shadow Labyrinth than the game Shadow Labyrinth.
What the hell was the name of that game? Bullet Storm? The one where you... Bullet Storm. Thank you. Where you could shoot dudes in the dick and get extra points.
That game was excellent. That game is a lot of fun, but also because the gameplay engages it. Like, Duke Nukem doesn't ever come to that sort of level. I think Bullet Storm, like, rises above, where something like Duke Nukem, like, I loved Duke Nukem Forever. I really enjoyed that game. But part of that was unlocking the cheat that gave me the Duke Nukem 3D freeze ray instead of the freeze ray that actually exists in the game. Because I don't know if you ever had any time with the Duke Nukem 3D freeze ray, one of the most overpowered weapons in video games.
Oh, Duke Nukem Planet of the Babes. Is that 3D?
That is a PlayStation port of 3D. It has a bit of a different story to it.
That's the only Duke Nukem game I've ever played with any amount of, like, heft. Like, I've played other Duke Nukem games when I was, like, over at friends' houses and shit, and, like, when Duke finally came out after forever, I played that one, you know, just to get my hands on it for a few minutes, but, like, I didn't even own it. I think somebody else owned it. I'm not even going to name them. I don't want to shame them. But yeah, so the only, besides that, Bullet Storm might be the only other game where I've had a real hands-on amount of time with Duke, because he showed up in that too.
Yeah, and there's that whole thing to do it. Yeah, Bullet Storm, I actually really enjoy that game. I find myself going back to that.
Right, but the comedy game, right, the Borderlands franchise is like super emblematic of this, is that holding up the comedy side of your game is no easy task. And if that's all that your game has kind of going for it, then the game falls apart, right? And so, like, that's where something like Duke Nukem Forever, I think, really falls apart, is it was leaning so heavily on the humor that when the humor kind of got stale after 2 hours, if that, then, like, you know, you can only slap alien boob door mechanics so many times before it's not funny anymore, you know?
Right. I mean, there's a fact there. I will say this. Shinobi Art of Vengeance, not meant to be funny, but there was a moment where I lost it. It is probably my funniest moment in video gaming this year. I don't know if it will be topped, but we got a lot of heavy hitters coming in the final 4 months of the year, so we'll see. But you get to Lord Ruse, and he says, "Finally we meet Higashi," but you meet him in the first level of the game. Like, the first level ends with him like, We'll meet again, Shinobi. And they all call him Shinobi, too, which I think is funny, because they all know his name. Like, it's super funny that they're like, the Shinobi has arrived. but everybody knows he's Joe Higashi. Like, he's not making that a secret.
Excellent.
So, like, when he gets to Lord Ruse, and Lord Ruse is like, Higashi, finally we meet. I just jumped into Fry from when he's malfunctioning Eddie's roommate at the robot asylum. And I go, actually, we've met once before. And I thought that was the funniest retort to that. I'm like, it's like this serious mood. We're in limbo between heaven, hell, the living plane, and the necro plane. And he's like, finally we meet. And it's like, actually, we've met once before. like, let's be honest about this. Finally we meet on the field of battle. Like, finally you're worthy enough to face me. Like, just finally we meet. Like, you're leaving a lot of our backstory out there, Lord Ruse.
For him, it was a Tuesday.
For me, it was Tuesday. God, it really is just one of those things that, like, reinvigorated. Like, I can't believe I played through it a second time already. Because I'm just like, I want to try going as fast as possible. And that's basically what I did. I didn't do any exploration. I just rolled through the levels. And I set, like, when you die, you can either go back to a check mark, or they give the option to spawn back at the beginning of the last room you entered. So I turned that one on because I'm like, that'll be faster, and I don't mind it. And I still ended up doing some exploration. My first time through, there's a secret bunker in the penultimate level. It took me the entire length of a guy's thing to not finish it on Thursday night. And then I looked up and it was 3 a.m. and I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's because I'm exhausted that I cannot figure this whole thing out. Next day I got through it. But I wasted, like, let's say 2 hours trying to solve the secret bunker. And today I did it in 4 tries in my second run through. So I'm like, you know what? I don't want to have to come back and do this. I'm here. I know how to get here. I'm going to solve this one thing in my fast, clear playthrough. And I'm excited to see how quickly people bring the game down. Because there is a bounty out there for the game. And I'm not competing for that bounty, but there is a bounty for fastest clear. So anything else, video games you want to talk about, Seejie, before we transform this podcast into into the second topic we're talking about today?
I'm sure there's something I'm not thinking about, but no, let's go, because I want to talk to you, Devon.
I want to talk to you too, Seejie, and it is about the Google for AI commercial that is playing before movies. First of all, I don't want to be rude, but I sent you a video that I made of it, because fuck it, I'm not going to give anybody... What the hell is this picture you sent me?
It is Alex Kidd in Shinobi World, a pre-release version in which the first villain, who is, I think, Katsubu in the actual release.
Yeah,
I don't remember his actual name.
I believe that's it.
But originally it was supposed to be Mario, and he shoots fireballs, and when you jump on him, he gets tiny before he dies. Like, there's all sorts of weird Mario shit about it. But that's Alex Kidd in Shinobi World.
I love it. I mean, there's also Shinobi 3 where you fight Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, and Godzilla, depending on which release of it. Yeah, I do remember that was a huge deal. I've heard it mostly as like a Spider-Man thing, that people are like, remember when Spider-Man was in Shinobi? Yeah. But I mean, like, that's because he's like the first level boss. If you proceed through, like, Godzilla's like the 5th or 4th level boss. And the way that they did that, they just took the skin off of him. So he's still basically Godzilla. He's just skinless Godzilla. Bonezilla? Let's call him Bonezilla. That's our thing. So wait, kind of a dick move to Tal Bachman? I don't understand what that means.
Oh! Because the entire thing about James Blunt, and about how James Blunt is the concert that they go to at the end, but then they fucking play High Above Me by Tal Bachman.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's what I thought it was, and I'm just like, I wanted to make sure that it was like the James Blunt of it all wasn't a like regional difference. Like,
what a weird fucking move to like call out James Blunt multiple times in this commercial and then not play a James Blunt song, and then on top of that, a dick move to the actual creator of that song, because now there's just going to be people that just think it's a James Blunt song.
There is the You're Beautiful moment when he looks up the music video. There is a little bit of James Blunt in that video, in that commercial, that hour-long commercial. But the reason why I want to talk about this commercial is because there's such a fucking narrative in that goddamn commercial. Like, there's more of a narrative in that 58-second spot than, like, I feel like I see in some movies these days. Like,
well, I think it is because it is, I mean, at least for me, I have not seen it anywhere but in movie theaters. And so there's kind of that idea that, like, they went big for this one, right? Like, they make it cinematic in a way. You know, I hate that we've gotten to this point, right? I hate that there's commercials that play before movies, and it's not just previews for other movies. Like, I get that. Like, the synergy of we're going to play a preview for another movie before this movie, I'm fine with that. Like, that makes sense to me. I'm here at the movie theater. You're telling me about other movies you're going to show. I can get behind that. I can even get behind the whole, like, welcome to our theater card, right? Because, like, they just, you know, they're doing business. The second that they started doing ads for other companies, it sucked. And it started with soda, like it always does. Fucking Pepsi and Coke ruining everything. But now that we've gotten to this point where everything is a car commercial or an insurance commercial or some local, like, bug guy that wants to, like, get his face on the big screen, like, it just sucks. And, like, and this is one of those commercials that plays all the time. And you can see it in those commercials, specifically in the theater, is that is where people do something a little different. You know, they'll do something quirky, or they'll do something weird, or they'll do something long and, like, narrative based, like you're talking about with this. But, like, the commercial landscape of the movie theater was already a fucking desolate wasteland, and watching everybody fucking Mad Max it out to figure out who can be the weirdest one in the space is just not a show I want to be a party to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I remember when Harrison Ford was the ocean. I cannot find a video of it, but it was like a PSA about stop polluting our oceans. And they got Harrison Ford, of all people, to be like, I'm the ocean. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, no, land, there's a big push for things like taking care of the earth and that kind of stuff, right?
Yep.
Like anti-pollution things. There's also, I haven't seen this one in a while, which is surprising to me, but for a long time it was also the U.S. Army was also huge in putting stuff in theaters.
Diabetes, like pre-diabetes, had like its moment in the sun as like, this is the PSA we're advertising before movies. One that I remember is the Jeep Liberty commercial. This is the dumbest shit we've ever talked about on the show. I'm proud of us for what we're doing here. But that Jeep Liberty commercial,
the Jeep Liberty one,
ruined fucking Jeeps for me. Because Jeep Liberty, if you don't recall, their slogan was, there's only one Jeep. And that was so funny, is I'm like, so you have the only Jeep? Because there's only one, right? Jesse, you must have the only Jeep.
The most famous one, the most famous one of all from our youth has to be the St. Jude's commercial with the construction workers building the hospital, right?
We just knew it was iron and we were working on it. That's actually the Jimmy Fund. That's
the Jimmy Fund. Yes, right. Where they would then literally come out and collect money from the audience after that commercial played when I was a kid. Like that was and so it's such a cultural, like, touchstone that it was brought back on, like, it's like 20th anniversary or some shit like that.
Yeah. One of the kids in the video, like, he's an adult now who also volunteers at the Jimmy Fund and with the kids.
Yeah. So there's just it was amazing. That was such a huge part of it, right? And like I said, like when you're talking about, like, charities, when you're talking about, like, previews for upcoming movies, there's a certain level of that I'm willing to forgive. Part of that's my upbringing. It was such a part of when we were growing up anyway. I don't remember a time before this kind of shit happened. Yeah. But, like, the commercial shit is just nuts. And yes, the Google commercial where you get, like, a full-on Darren Aronofsky, like, character study of this dude. Yeah.
It was just like, I'm like, this is, and the thing I didn't like about it was I was trying to recall the trailers of a film I saw yesterday. We'll talk about it, Seejie, I promise, but I am going to fucking blue ball you until we get to talk about it. I love you that much, my friend. Like, I was trying to remember, and I'm like, oh, there was that one where the kid, like, met the girl at the James Blunt concert, and I'm like, that was a Google commercial, Devon. I understand why you thought it might have been a movie, because it played in the middle of the previews. I got 4 previews, then I got that, and then I got 3 more previews. So yeah, my mind was like, I can't wait to see that movie about the kid with like did the first Google search in 1998, like how James Blunt made him find his like what's gonna happen now that he's met the love of his life. What's gonna happen? He
somehow went to a Tal Bachman concert in 2025.
I know, right? Just crazy. It's just like it was such a crazy thing, and I wanted to focus on it because I saw 2 movies yesterday, and there's one that Seejie really wants to talk about. But before we get to that, I would like to talk about the other one. It's funny that he brings up Darren Aronofsky because I saw Caught Stealing yesterday.
God damn it. I was going to go to it. I was sitting there at the bar after I got out of the other one thinking, should I go to this? And I was like, I got 3 days. Maybe I'll go tomorrow. So I might actually, I think I am going to have to go see it now. But go ahead.
You have to. No.
About it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go see it, if you can commit to seeing it, I will hold off on it. Especially because, A, it gets to what you actually want to talk about. But B, the things that I want to talk to about that film will ruin your experience. Like that, like there's just no doubt about that. And it was third at the movie theater this week. So good for that. Weapons back in the number 1 spot. Jaws' 50th anniversary re-release at 2. And then the movie we actually want to talk about coming in at number 11. So we will hold on Caught Stealing. I'll say that I'm not upset that I saw it, but I have a lot of complicated feelings as it relates to it. And we'll save them for next time. Right now I'm making Seejie do it. I should have sent you my ticket for that, right? Like I sent you my ticket for, I'm going to say it, the Toxic Avenger.
I would have, yeah.
I would have changed the thing.
Fine.
It's all right. I had to stop the kid. I put my soda in my second theater before I went to the restroom. So I don't want to bring my soda to the bathroom, assuming that the theater had already been cleaned. And then when I got in there, the person was cleaning. I'm like, don't throw my soda away as they got to my seat. And they didn't. My soda. Like, I don't know. Wow, Lilo and Stitch was 32nd last week, finished at 14th this week. Holy shit. Wow, that's a jump. But yeah, so we're talking about the Toxic Avenger Unrated. And really, the reason I wanted to talk about Caught Stealing is I don't understand the unrated of it all, Seejie. I'm just going to be honest with you, because this stuff that happens in Caught Stealing is very similar. I mean, granted, when you look at IMDb and you have the little like, where the it's so you can know about family stuff. And if your family should see this movie. For sex and nudity, Toxic Avenger is a severe. Caught Stealing is a moderate. Violence and gore, they're both severe. Profanity, they're both severe. Alcohol, drugs, and smoking is moderate. Frightening and intense scenes is moderate. But let me tell you something. Like, the sex scene that happens in Caught Stealing is like actual nude bodies having sex. It is not.
Yeah, but do you ever see flaccid penis, of which you see 2 in
you
Toxic
see 2
Avenger?
Flaccid penises, and that's what makes it unrated. I just think, first on also, as a fan of the original Toxic Avenger film from 1984, like, I don't really think of that as like nothing that I saw in the film I watched yesterday was as over the top as anything in that movie.
Exactly. So my one, this isn't even really a complaint. It is what this movie chooses to do instead of, is that it earns its NC-17. I think, Devon, that's what we're talking about here, is does it or not. I think it does in its violence and context for what the violence and stuff is. I mean, one of my biggest things about this movie, and again, this is not a complaint.
I just want to make sure we say spoilers for people. Like, if you want to go see it, it's out there, it's available. It's not going to be forever, finishing 11th in its first weekend, but. Yeah, but
you can tell this from the trailer. Is I love how fucking toyetic this movie is. It is the most ridiculous ridiculously like, we are going to make a toy out of this, you're going to get a character of that, you're going to get this vehicle, you're going to get that, you're going to get the mop, you're going to be able to do all, like, it is the most fucking toyetic movie ever. The villain ends up turning into a big old fucking monster too, so you get that monster plus you get the variant, like,
plus I can't wait for Chicken Head. I want Chicken Head figure from the Killer Nuts.
Oh my god,
with surprise reveal. Like,
yeah, it has to have the reveal. Yeah, no, it has to. But there's like there's so much going on in that movie that it is not taken in any serious context, and that's a huge thing for the MPAA. Is that if something is not treated with consequence, if something is not treated with what they consider maturity, it's a huge turnoff for them. I don't agree with this. This is just the way
highly disagree with
the MPAA
that.
works, right? is that this idea that something like Caught Stealing can have just as much violence and have all of this, but because there's some idea of consequence to those actions, because there's some idea of weight to those actions, whereas like there's no weight to fucking anything in Toxic Avenger, but that's the point, right? Yeah. That's why Toxic Avenger pushes that unrated. And I think it's important to note that unrated is not the same as an NC-17.
Right. Because it's rated R. Like the Toxic Avenger on IMDb, on where I am right here, Box Office Mojo, MPAA R rating. So like when I saw it, it was the Toxic Avenger and then it said unrated below that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay. And that is the thing that I didn't understand it because everywhere it just shows that R rating. So I'm like, so this is an unrated version. This is not the NC. I mean, I guess it's technically the NC-17 rating, the version that they submitted that got NC-17 and then they resubmitted to get the R. Like, I don't understand anything behind this release. Because it didn't feel like some sort of unrated, like there was no extraneous, like, breasts. Right, there were two flaccid penises, and honestly, that's where it comes from. So I'm glad that we're having this discussion.
What do you mean by extraneous? Because there definitely were breasts in this movie.
Oh yeah, there were definitely breasts in the film, but like right before the flaccid penis, like it wasn't like there weren't naked women all over. Like
the punchline of this movie, man, the way that this movie took exploitation to a fucking level of 2025 level was so interesting. Doing things like, yes, we're going to show women flashing their boobs at him on stage, but the punchline of the joke is that there is also a guy whipping his dick around too. So like jokes on you, perv, for only coming for the boobs because now you got the thing we know you didn't want to see is like the bit, and that's funny, right? Or like,
yes,
you know, the fucking Chekhov's acid piss.
That made me so happy. I'm like, that's what's going to happen.
Hold on, I gotta pee on my face.
I just gotta pee on my face. Like,
it's such a fucking wild movie. And like the dialogue is just insane. And, you know, I also think that the MPAA will never admit to this. It is not something that they can outwardly say, and it's not anything that anybody can openly pin on them, but it's pretty obvious that they consider themselves tastemakers. And what I mean by that is that, like, if they don't find something tasteful, they're shittier towards it, right? And I think that that's something that is obvious, but like you can't, like they can't ever say that's what they're doing, right? And so there is something to the idea that there is a crudeness to this, right? Much in the same way on the other side of the coin that there's a weight to something like Darren Aronofsky doing like a kinetic movie like Caught Stealing versus this over the top silliness with that, you know, like Kaufman showed up at the end of the movie.
So good. I cheered. Yeah. I didn't know first of all, how many people were in your theater when you saw this movie? Like, just be honest with me.
No. So I went to the Bruin View. I went to the place where it's a bar and a movie theater, so it's already 21 plus, which means that you're not going to get a certain group of people seeing this movie. Right. 14-year-old boys that would have otherwise been there, right? So with that, there was probably 15 people altogether in a theater that normally seats 60. So it wasn't packed by any stretch. But for like a 1 o'clock on a Sunday, in Utah, that's actually huge because remember, Mormons don't do anything on Sundays.
Right.
So like 30%, you can expect a 30% audience no matter what, because you're not going to have that other 60% of the Mormons getting out of the house. And I'm not going to sit here and act like the Mormons wouldn't go to this movie. I know plenty of kids that are like in their 20s, fresh back from mission, and want to get fucking back into the real world. And what better way to do it than to go to an NC-17 movie?
Nothing like a Rumspringa movie.
Yeah, there's definitely a select group of those people that would definitely come to this movie. So yeah. But anyway, yeah.
No. So I asked that 15. Now, before we go further, because I don't want to step on this, mine was lower than that. You want to take a guess before I tell you?
Was it just you?
I wish. If it were just me, I wouldn't be complaining. Because then is this magic moment where, like, of course nobody else is laughing at that Lloyd Kaufman showing up at the end of the film, because I'm the only one here. But I got it. But there were 2 other people in the theater with me. There were 3 of us who sat and watched the 12:30 Toxic Event. 12:45.
Right?
No, not with me. No, there was one guy in like the second row from the screen, and then one guy 2 rows below me. And it's just like Lloyd Kaufman. I'm like, yes, I like cheered to see Kaufman up there, and nobody else cheered. And I was laughing at stuff, no reactions.
I had guys showing up in old Toxic Avenger T-shirts and guys showing up with
awesome.
Toxic Avenger written on their. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's
shit.
super cool.
I went to the exact right theater for it.
Yeah.
This is the theater that I've talked about before, the same one that Ryan Reynolds had to stand up for when they almost got shut down because Deadpool had a dick in it. Funny enough, right? It all comes around.
Yep.
The fact that they serve beer in a place where flaccid penis was shown is actually a specific fucking law in Utah, and like they were going to shut the place down, and Ryan Reynolds had to come out and be like, this isn't pornography, this is art, like shut the fuck up. Like this is a movie that people are going to go see at every other theater around here that they just don't happen to serve beer in. So like you can't shut this place down just because they serve alcohol. So it's that place, right? Yeah. And it felt like the right place to go and see this. And honestly, I don't know of any other theaters in the area playing at least the unrated version. I don't know if the R-rated version is going to get out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I had a blast with it. I think in terms of like the satire that was on display in this film, really good. Like making the bad guys not just a pollution thing, but like a lifestyle brand that is giving people disease through their like supplements and products. Like,
but still killing the earth, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
and also killing the earth. Like they're that too.
Right.
But like they're not just bad because they're killing the earth. They're bad for other reasons too. Like was a very interesting like thing to add to this.
It's almost much more insidious, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're not just the bad guys and proudly wearing it on their sleeves because it's the 70s and the 80s and nobody's here to stop them, right? They're in a way pitching themselves as being good for you and being bad. That's even worse.
Yeah.
No,
like the whole marketing
I
machine behind it was excellent. Like that was a really deep. I like that, like Sarah Niles, seeing her in another comic book movie and it not being Fantastic Four made me smile as Maya Rugat. Like that was awesome. Yep. Like that was great.
They also tied in some really interesting stuff from the old canon in terms of like a blind character that ends up being on Toxie's side, but it's not a love interest. At least I don't.
Yeah, it wasn't Yvonne or Yvette.
Right.
Yeah.
But there is somebody there that you can still have the conversation about the idea that she doesn't give a shit what he looks like because she doesn't see him. It's what he does that she's impressed by, and she is thoroughly impressed by the end of the movie. Like it's like so this is what I was going to say earlier, and I don't think I ever got around to the point.
Sorry, I apologize.
No. I'm just so excited to talk about this movie. There's so many aspects, but I think that one of the big things that stands out about this movie is that it is genuinely sweet in many moments, and I think that that's actually something that's always been present in the Toxic Avenger, which is why it made it work so well for Troma and Lloyd Kaufman back in the day compared to anything else that they did, right? I mean, Toxic Avenger has this history of starting off as one of those kinds of movies, the trauma movies, where it's like, hey, girls get naked and it's going to be all about this horrid-looking figure, but he's actually a good guy, blah blah blah, and then it turns into a fucking cartoon at some point. Like there's a literal Saturday morning cartoon for like the Toxic Avenger, and there's like Citizen Toxie later on and shit, and like you have these different versions of the Toxic Avenger in comic books and stuff that are like sold as like kind of family fun, and like it's this reaction. I think that when you get to the family fun Toxie, it's this reaction to 89 Batman, Ninja Turtles, and all of that, it being a satire of that, but still being, like enjoyable. It's the old bit that we talk about, that satire is at its best when it actually masks itself as the genre. When you could easily talk about it within the genre of that film. And so like getting to talk about 2025 Toxic Avenger as this really sweet superhero origin story that has some really goofy satire in it, the montage sequence being like 2 frames long, and one of those frames being a crazy homeless guy just like thrusting with the mop. Was ridiculous. Peter Dinklage running through a fucking wheat field with holding the mop in the air.
I just love that it was a wheat field too.
Nominated.
It was it's so good at what it's doing. Like in this way that like, yeah, this is why I love the first movie. Like they did a really good job capturing that. And I'm glad that it wasn't Melvin. I like that he was Winston Goose and he had the whole like other story, and the fact that Jacob Tremblay was there as like the step kid that he's trying to raise as he's dealing with the fact that he's given a terminal like, they don't ever say it, and I think that that's really clever too, that like they have the jackhammer come up when he's being told what he has. Like all of this beautiful stuff that like this is good. Like,
well, it's highlighting that it's a fucking MacGuffin, right?
Yeah,
it's just
exactly.
It's just something to move the plot along. He is sick and dying. That's all you need to know. It doesn't fucking matter if it's cancer or if his brains don't work. Like whatever it is, he's dying. That's all that you need to know. And as an audience member, yeah, that's all I fucking care about.
That's
at this point.
The fact that he's dying. That's what leads to get to. But like also like the sad thing about it is that all of the fun about the movies that is not the gore was super fun, and then the gore didn't really do anything for me. I remember the first time I watched Toxic Avenger and they run over that old woman and just being like, holy fuck, like this movie don't give a fuck, it does not care. And there was no holy fuck moment for me. I thought there was gonna be one with the Miss Meat when he shoved his hand up the guy's ass, but like it cut away in this way that like I don't feel the exploitation films that I've seen growing up, or even any of the original Toxic Avenger films. You see him
pull that dude's intestines out through his ass.
You see him, but it's not. You don't see like it cuts away and then the intestines are coming out of it.
No, like it's 100% like it is a gentler film than the original for sure. It is a more marketable version of this film, which is what happened to Toxic Avenger. They became more and more marketable the more that you made them. And let's not act like Lloyd Kaufman would not be the first one to tell you this. He wanted to make fucking money. Like, he wanted to put art on screens, but his pursuit in trying to make a movie that would actually make him some fucking money was just huge. He's literally written about it. Others have written about him trying to pursue the idea that, like, I want to make the art I want to make, but I want to make the money doing it. And I kept thinking this entire time I was watching these movies, I was like, this is it. This is what happens when you give Kaufman enough money to produce something, like, or a Kaufman idea at least, enough money to actually make it to a mass market. It's no different than watching something like early Burton. Like, I was looking at shots of this movie and thinking, this looks like it's straight out of Pee-wee. And straight out of fucking Edward Scissorhands and shit. Like, it is this idea that yes, it's weird, and yes, it's not the normal kind of like tone that you would expect from a AAA film or anything like that. But at the end of the day, like this looks good and it's fun, and I'm smiling while I'm here, and it's the kind of movie that you're just like, that movie was awful, but man, it was awful fun. Like, which is all Kaufman ever tried to prove.
All he ever wanted to do, yeah.
yeah, it just proved like this is all that movies should be, but they should also be able to be successful in doing that, right? And it feels like it's really kind of embracing that. So even though it is a softer movie than what we were used to in the past, I think it honored a lot of what I know about the Toxic Avenger. You know, take that as a 35-year-old, 37-year-old man in 2025. You know, so it's not like I was like there when it came out and like, but I was there when the cultural shift was happening where like he became really popular for some reason. Like I had friends that had Toxic Avenger toys.
No, yeah, I'm one of them. Like, yeah, like the Toxic Crusaders show. You want to talk about Kaufman's whole, like, we want to make money. That show is basically 13 episodes of how can we make the most money out of the Toxic Avenger.
Was Trauma also behind Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
No, it was not.
Or no, okay. But that was it. That was just kind of the same.
Sort of the
right?
same sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, they were just making like silly satirical like gore and exploitation films, and Attack of the Killer Tomatoes hit in a way that they were like, we could actually like sanitize this, put a cartoon show out. Hell, the sequel will be just like basically family friendly. It feels like a Naked Gun film or something.
Yeah, I mean, Return of the Killer Tomatoes is the one that leads to the animated series, because it's like 10 years between the two films.
Yes.
Like, so it's one of those.
One of his funniest roles.
Yeah. God, I do love those movies. I absolutely love the Killer Tomatoes. And I love Trauma stuff. Trauma films are things that, like, as a guy...
Tromeo and Juliet was the first Trauma movie I ever saw. No, that's not true. I'm sorry. Cannibal the Musical,
right? Which we're doing an episode, I promise, but yeah. You know, when there's not a strike.
Right. Like, so Matt and Trey led to seeing that, right? And so and adored that. And then once I saw that, I was hooked. I was like, I need to see other Trauma movies.
Yeah. So I mean,
Romeo and Juliet was where I started because it felt like it was the namesake. I don't know if it's I'm not gonna get. I don't know enough about Trauma to get that fanboy about it, but like that was where I was at when I was 13, 14 at the time when I was getting into this shit.
Yeah. I want to see now. I want to know. This is not in release order. That is not helpful at all. You are the least helpful freaking thing. I'm just gonna Google. Toxic Avenger was 1984, but they started creating movies in 1974. So they didn't really hit until 84 with Toxic Avenger. So you talk about Lloyd Kaufman's whole philosophy of like, we just want to make money. It becomes the most popular thing, 3 sequels and a cartoon, and now a remake. And that remake, like when I talk about the satire, like there's great satire about how like the pharmaceutical industrial complex is like fucking us all up in this country. But then there's also the frickin' like incel takeover of the Miss Meat, and they're upset because Mr. Meat became Miss Meat. They're upset the feminization of our beloved mascot.
Did you look at their names?
Yeah, their names are fantastic.
Hashtag is one of them. Yeah. Triggered is another one.
Yeah. Yeah, and well, but their names are like, that's because of things that they say. Like, use are gonna get it. Like, it's so good. But yeah, the Triggered.
Right, but there's definitely a level to what they're.
Yeah. By that becoming what they're known as when it's things that they say, like they got to the blind woman, where he's like, "Are you feeling triggered?" Like. And then she just brushes him away, and then we know why she brushes him away later, because she don't give a fuck, right? She's an undercover FBI agent. Which I thought that was hidden really well. I'm really happy that we got other mutants in it. I was a little upset that JJ didn't, because she got a huge transfusion from the Toxic Avenger to come back to life. But then also, I'm fucking happy it didn't happen, because we don't need another She-Hulk or another Jennica from Ninja Turtles. And I'm not mad about those characters. I'm just saying, I don't think
it's ever going to happen, but if we had a sequel, I would love to see there be some build on that. But it's the exact kind of thing that you don't address in this movie.
In the first movie, right.
Right.
But I did think that they were, like, kind of hinting at it. Like, there's a scene where she's driving and it looked like the blue blood was showing through her hand in the sun, where I'm like the fact that his blood is inside of her is going to be something. And yeah, it's something you'd address in the sequel. You don't need to put a hat in a hat. Though if she did end up like becoming a Avenger, it's just like, I'm so tired of the way that we get a die staff counterpart to a character is with a blood transfusion from that character.
And like an accidental blood transfusion,
yeah, right.
Most of the time, right?
Yeah, or it's one to save the life. Like, both of them are to save lives. Jennifer Walters becomes She-Hulk because they are in a car crash and there's no other, she's losing blood, and to save her, Bruce is like, well, I know that she's compatible with me because she's my cousin, so here's some of my blood, and she becomes She-Hulk. Ditto with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the creation of Jennika, which again, I have no problem with the character of Jennika. I just think it is super lazy to have a character named Jen become a Ninja Turtle from a blood transfusion when She-Hulk exists, right? This is the type of stuff comic book fans notice. And
this is a rabbit hole that we don't need to go down today, but I would argue that as the Turtles have always been kind of a poke at
bit
Marvel,
of a pastiche of comedy, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's perfectly fine for them to do again, right? But I get your point. The idea that for some reason, whenever we wanted to make a woman version of a superhero, we need to figure out some like offhanded way the male is actually still the one responsible and gives it to them, right? It's like this weird, it's like okay, we give you permission to be this in a weird way, right? Which is fucking bullshit.
Which, like, the Savage Dragon, the She-Dragon, I really like how she became the She-Dragon. Because she's, like, not a dragon. She's just Valley Girl from middle class. What is it? She gets superpowers and then just calls herself a dragon.
I mean, it's on a grander scale with a character that I adore, when Doc becomes Thor, she, because she has cancer, like it's this whole thing where it's like granted upon her because she's dying and all that, and that kind of sucks. It's not the best way, but I adore what they do with that character in a way. So I think that kind of earns the right to kind of run with the trope. Whereas, like, there are other characters, like I think the first one I ever think of is fucking Elektra. She grew up alongside Matt in most versions of the story, trained alongside him, all of this stuff. But she has so much of her own authority on her story, which is why she becomes so different than Matt, especially the whole coming back from the dead stuff and things like that. Like she has such a unique story, despite the fact that she has origins tied to a male figure in the comics.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just that thing that sticks with it. So I'm happy that we didn't go there with blood transfusion turns her into a second toxic Avenger, a toxic Avenger, right? Like, I'm glad that didn't happen.
Well, and they do kind of explain, they do give themselves enough
out
later on when they do create the potion, whatever the fuck it is, that they take out of him later for Kevin Bacon's character.
Oh yeah, Kevin Bacon's in this movie.
Powers. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a second. The cast on this movie we're going to talk about in just a sec. But yeah, so and it takes them a few times to get the right mix.
Right.
So it's not just a 1-to-1 put his blood in you and you become a mutant. There needs to be a certain level of this and that going on with like the blood shit in order for it to actually do what they want it to do. Right. So they also do kind of write it into the story that it wouldn't just be just a 1-to-1 blood transfusion that would turn her into a mutant.
Right. Yeah, he had to have specific genetic markers that it matched with in order to mutate him and not kill him. Like
those genetic markers had to be somehow introduced into the new body.
Yeah. So they did a good job with it. I will say that. Though, like, I don't know why Kevin Bacon was just like a heavy metal like mascot in a lot of ways. He became Krampus. It was kind of great.
It was kind of Krampus. Yeah. He was almost like Beauty and the Beast, almost.
Yeah, he had a little bit of Beauty and the Beast.
He looked a little bit like specifically the what's his nuts one from the 90s.
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman, Hellboy there. Yeah. And he played him.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like, because he had the horn, he did very much resemble Adam. And I liked that. And I also liked that Kiss he drank it. And I liked how her, like, mutation manifested. The, like, just that little bit gave her the glowing eyes and stuff. Like, they had fun with this movie. And as a result,
Yes.
I had a lot of fun watching this movie. Where I question it is the whole unrated of it. And then I'm like, so it's just going to be the two flaccid penises? Like, but that's why I wanted to bring it. And I'm so happy that you saw it. So we can have that discussion about the fact that, like, it's also a systemic problem with the MPAA. Right? Because I went from this movie to Caught Stealing and was thinking, like, this stuff is almost worse that's happening in this movie because this is very clearly the real world. Like, I'm having visceral reactions to the violence that is happening on screen because it feels like violence that could happen to anyone at any time in our world. Which, you know, that's
meanwhile,
a whole
in
other
Toxic
thing.
Avenger, somebody gets the top of his head cut off and is still
And it's
crawling
still alive.
around on stage.
Yeah, like, I'm not quite certain why parkour blew up, but that was still hilarious.
I don't think there was a reason.
Right? He just parkoured too hard that he spontaneously
Parkoured right off the stage and exploded.
I liked how the Medusa, like, turntable lady died. That was, they were just such beautiful, like, the deaths were gorgeous. And the fact of the matter is that, like, with these gorgeous, beautiful deaths, they didn't feel very exploitative. Right? Like, it just
they were
felt
straight
like...
up. There were ones that they didn't even show you. There was 3 or 4 out of, you know, a good couple of dozen, but there were 3 or 4 where it was more about showing you the aftermath of, like, blood on the wall, and you just kind of had to, like, figure shit out on your own, and which is always worse, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Or like when he ripped a dude's arm off. Like, it felt real. It didn't feel like how it looks in other trauma films where, like, oh, it's a real fake arm and you can see the real arm, right? Like, giving it an actual budget was a really cool way to do pretty much every trauma effect you expect, like the arm getting ripped off and things like that. Got the opening with Melvin Ferd as a journalist instead of the, like... And, like, there's nothing you can do to me. I told you there's nothing you can do to me.
Yeah,
like,
so no, we shouldn't bounce over that. Yeah, so the opening of this movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him, right?
Well, it's not the actor, but it's the character named that. But he's not the Toxic Avenger, but you're expecting it if you're familiar with the stuff that, like, oh, this is going to be the guy, right? Like, they subvert expectations. They fucking totally poke holes in the entire superhero comic book adaptation, like, machine. And how, like, these, like, the fact that this is technically, like, the gritty adaptation of Toxic Avenger for the modern superhero crowd. Like, I've had some complicated relationship with the superhero films that I've seen in 2025. I will be the first person to admit that. Toxic Avenger is probably my number 1. Right? Where, like, where I'm sitting there with Caught Stealing as this film that, like, I knew my family was interested in, but I had to know. Right, the marketing was just so engaging, and, you know, we will go deeper on this once Seejie sees it. Even if it has to be like the fact that he said he considered seeing it, I will hold off, and we'll give a time limit on that. We'll figure that whole thing out, right? Whatever. But like, I don't know if I, like, want people to see Caught Stealing after seeing Caught Stealing. Not that it's a bad movie, but just like, I know how some people feel about certain things in movies that happen to happen in that film. It's not like a dead dog or anything like that. So I will tell that the dog stays alive, right? The cat doesn't die in Caught Stealing. So don't be nervous about that part of it. But it's other stuff that happens in it.
Save the fucking cat.
That was so fucking good. I've been waiting for Seejie to say it. That when he saves the cat and, like, a la Deuce Bigelow off-screen voices, that's a huge bitch. He saved that fucking cat. And I'm just like, it was a literal save the cat moment. There was these moments when I was watching Toxic Avenger where I'm like, this is made for, like, the sensibilities I have, like, developed through years of watching, like, exploitation films and things like that. But it does not feel like an exploitation film at all.
No, I don't know how they balanced it so well, because I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Right. I know some people are going to walk away and feel like maybe they were too soft, and there are going to be some people that walk away and we're not expecting how hard they go. So like, with that in mind, I feel like they struck a really good balance.
They did a really nice balance. Like, I walked away and I'm like, man, nothing was as like over the top to me as the first time I saw Toxic Avenger. But I'm like, but also that was 41 years ago, Devon. Like, yeah, no, like we see a lot of stuff. And then I'm watching Caught Stealing Immediately After, and I'm like, yeah, this is a little like, that hit me harder than some of the shit I just saw in that movie. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the point of it, right? Like, the point is that they made this world where, like, I know that gore is coming, so nothing really bothers me when it happens. Like, I can just enjoy the visceral cheer and reaction at him, you know, like, swiping off somebody's bottom jaw with his irradiated mop. Like,
with his irradiated mop that is clearly plastic, that has like a light bulb inside
like,
of it.
This like,
glorious kind of play to it.
Yeah.
Like, I want that. I want that prop. Like, I want a Funko Pop of him with his mop, right? And him, not. I mean, I know that there are ones of the original Toxie out there, but like, I want this one specifically with like the black eye, maybe even it hanging out of his head.
Well, that was the thing I liked about the Toxic Crusader figure that I have, and I think he's around here somewhere in one of my bins of toys. His left eye does pop out to do that whole thing. Like, that's a big part of the Toxic Avenger, and the way that they modified it for the modern one was so interesting. I loved his transformation sequence. I loved the opening with him like, no, this isn't that fucking thing. It's not like that. I don't want enough of this shit. We're going to tell this story in fucking order.
Like, and I wasn't even fucking there.
Yeah. Guys, oh, it's so good. It started halfway over town with a couple of chuckle fucks. Like, it had that stuff, and a couple of the bits didn't land for me. Like, all of the establishing shots with, like, spooky woods over yonder. Like, that one worked for me. But some of those didn't work for me. And I'm like, but that's okay.
There was a couple of guys behind me while we were watching it that laughed at every single fucking one of those. They also loved the joke of him peeing on his own face.
Oh, that was great. It was fantastic. I should be able to aim better this time. And then cut. Like, we don't see him pissing on JJ. This does...
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna, only because you brought it up, I'm gonna point this out. I had a weird moment as I was watching this movie when that scene happens, when he points out that he's now gonna do the same to her handcuffs. And up to this point, just to establish for everybody, she has been disgusted by what she's seeing. He has to convince her, like, no, this is going to be a thing. I know you don't understand that I have acid piss, but I have acid piss. It's going to work. Fine, blah, 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 blah. And it's like a funny conversation. And then he succeeds. He breaks out, and she's like, holy shit. And now he's like, okay, I gotta load up for round two. And, like, she has a moment where she says the words, oh, no. Just like I did.
Mm-hmm.
Is she weirdly into it?
I think she might weirdly be into it. I'll be fine.
Completely honest with that. Right?
Yeah, that's the bit. Is that like, oh no, like no, don't throw me into the briars.
Exactly. Yeah. There was this moment where I was just like, wait a fucking minute.
And I think, and honestly, that's the type of stuff. Like, here's the thing. What they succeeded
That's the kind of fucking crude-ass humor. Let it never be said, right? As prudish as we could be sometimes when, like, nudity and violence show up in ways that make us uncomfortable, let it never be said that it's not because we don't enjoy this shit when it is done in a way where the context makes it work.
I will say this. Most of the times when I bring up nudity or violence or language in things and I question it, it's not for me. I don't friggin' care. I don't fucking care, right? I'll say fuck right here, right? I don't care. Well, we're not going to get monetized on YouTube. We're not aiming for that.
I can say the big boy words.
Right? I can say fuck, right? I can say cunty. Like, I don't give a shit. I really don't care about that language. But what I do care about is when those things are presented in delivery systems where you're not expecting it, right? These people who are upset that their kids who liked the Superman film that James Gunn released in July, but now those kids want to watch Peacemaker, and it's like, well, how do I tell my kids that that's an adult show? Like, those words work perfectly. That's not appropriate for you. I know it's James Gunn. I know that, like, freaking Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl are in the show, but it's not for children. It's not as wholesome as Superman was. We can watch it when you're older. Like,
I mean, this is when we turn into old men yelling at trees. But what we're talking
Clouds.
about is like, I don't want to parent my kids.
Yeah.
Why are you making me parent my kids? It's
Exactly.
like, no, you need to teach them that being a human being means that there's going to be things in the world that are not necessarily obtainable to you for various reasons. Sometimes those reasons are fair. Sometimes those reasons are just. More oftentimes, they are neither.
Right. Or when it's a game that's rated E for everyone, and then suddenly I'm hunting for underage girls' panties, reading conversations about that. Like, that's
Exactly.
the stuff
Right.
that I'm not, like, I don't like that, right? It's not, and I know that I sound like a prude, and I get that I sound like a prude, but I'm not being prudish for me. I wasn't playing that game, like, I'm bothered by the fact that, like, this is a game that might be attractive to young people. And the game is not rated in any sort of way that you would think, oh, I bet the secret final boss of this game is to give a girl an orgasm till she dies from it.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is the most centrist bullshit nonsense I can say. But at the end of the day, my point has always been on this show is that clarity is all that I ask for, and that rating systems should not be used, as a way to say no, you can't view this, but rather as a way to say, hey, when you do view this, understand that this is what you're getting yourself into. Understand that this is the context with which you're watching this. Is that there's going to be nudity, there's going to be violence, there's going to be intense situations, whatever fucking nonsense, there's going to be smoking. Like, okay, like I understand that going in. I still am making the choice that I am free to make to watch and embrace or play this thing, right? And again, I understand that that's like people should be able to govern themselves is fucking nonsense. Like I don't ascribe to that as a practical view. As an ideal worldview, that is where I land on this shit. Like, if I were to raise my kid, I wouldn't say you don't get to watch an R-rated movie. I would say, look, you're going to watch this movie, and there's going to be violence, there's going to be nudity, there's going to be things like that. I want you to know that, like, if any of it makes you uncomfortable, you don't have to continue watching. We can talk about anything. And at the end of the day, like, if it's something that you do like, maybe we could talk about some better fucking films for you to watch then.
Right. Like, there has to be a conversation. And ideally, yes, everyone can govern themselves, but for those who are incapable of it, it's not bad that we have some guidelines to help them govern themselves. Like,
right. But the dangerous line is who gets to decide who is capable of governing themselves or not. Who gets to make that call? Which, and how authoritarian are they about that?
I mean, our before, during, after trilogy leading into, I believe, our 300th episode. It may have been our 400th, but we did before, during, and after. We did what was interconnected episodes of this series. We're introducing another to be continued, because this whole conversation about the MPAA and what it decides on and things like that, really, like, that was the dichotomy of my mind yesterday, going from Toxic Avenger unrated into Caught Stealing. So I'm excited for Seejie to see it and to have this, because, yeah, the unrated of this movie, I feel like that wasn't everywhere, right? It can't be everywhere. The fact that on IMDb, the fact that on Box Office Mojo, it says the MPAA rating for Toxic Avenger is R, means that it has an R rating somewhere, right? On record at some point. So I wonder if there were screenings that were that R-rated version.
No, and here's what it is. They are waiting to see how this does. And if it does well enough, a la the PG-13 Deadpool cut, they will put out the rated version that can play in more theaters. At the very least, you will see it on DVD. There will be a rated version and an unrated version that will be available, because the rated versions will be the ones that can be in rental places that the unrated version can't necessarily be. And you'll see the rated version go up on Netflix or end up on Tubi or something. But like, they are going to have that rated version in their pocket now to do whatever they want with to make more money, and it's all going to depend on the success of whether or not this unrated version does anything. And I'll say this, what did you say it was, 11 this weekend?
Yeah, it was 11th.
a Toxic Avenger coming out in 2025, almost being in the top 10 of the movies right now. Like? I think I'd take that as a pretty good win. Like, man, this is fucking nuts.
Oh yeah, no, it's I guess one of the reasons why I bring it up is because we're going to talk about the after credits here, right? There is an after credit scene. Both of the other people in the theater left. Both of them did not see either of the credit sequences, which, like,
the dance?
Crazy to me. Yeah, gone as soon as it was over, as if this isn't a superhero film in the year 2025. So they missed the dance, which was awesome. That whole thing was great. The fact that it's a property movement piece, like, I thought that was a clever way to be like, the kid doesn't want to say he's dancing. But no, it was a property movement piece. And I will let you see the scene to know what that actually means. Right here, I'll say it. I recommend this film to everybody. Watch The Toxic Avenger 2025 by Macon Blair. Is real good. Is a real enjoyable film. Understand what they're working on. And right now I'm fairly certain that the entire series of the original Toxic Avenger is on Amazon Prime.
Probably.
So yeah. There's that. I know that 1 and 3 are definitely, because it suggested the third one to me, and I'm like, I haven't watched The Last Temptation of Toxie in a while. Like, it's been a minute. And then again, yeah, and you talk about the turtles and everything there. Like, Kevin Eastman's in Citizen Toxie, right? Like, they have cameos in it, so they get what they were part of. It's always been that explosive, but the end credit scene, like the final one, is him making a grilled fucking cheese sandwich and explaining it to you. Like, I half expected it to end as the reveal that he was, like, making a TikTok video. That he was, like, gonna grab his phone and be like, so that was pretty good. But no, it's just this super mundane sequence of him making a grilled cheese that the director has gone on record saying that I wanted to create the, like, least exciting end credit scene that there could possibly be. Which, if we're all being honest, the least exciting end credit scene that there could possibly be is no end credit scene. I have seen people get physically violent in the theater because they sat through the credits and didn't get a scene. Right? So any sort of prize at the end of the tunnel is going to be better than nothing. Which is scary. Like, it's scary to talk about that guy who, like, kicked a seat and broke it because there was no end credit scene after, like, one of the Spider-Man films.
I know that I know Ferris Bueller is a dangerous banger nowadays, but I do have to say that its end credit scene, I think, is still one of the best. Deadpool made fun of it at some point.
Deadpool made fun of it in the first movie. It's over.
Yeah.
Right? The Muppet movie.
What are you still doing here? Go home.
The Muppet movie is one of the first ones that has an end credits, like an after credit scene too. I don't know the very first one. I know that I think, like, Smokey and the Bandit 2 is the first one that showed bloopers during the credits. Like, that's a big... Because one of the movies, it's like either Dodgeball or Anchorman.
Was it Smokey and the Bandit or was it Cannonball Run?
Smokey and the Bandit 2 is the one that I can think of. Okay, because it's them moving the elephant. It's certainly Dom DeLuise and Burt Reynolds. I was like, no, keep it rolling. And because then it's one of them films, maybe it's Old School or something, where, like, they do those, like, bloopers alongside, and the last one is one of the ones from Smokey and the Bandit 2. And I'm just like, that is awesome, because that is a, like, homage to what they started here. And other people have done it, but, like, to actually show credit to the progenitor of this, like, this whole act was very cool. But then, after that post-credit scene where he makes the grilled cheese, there is Toxie will return, but then it's got 2 asterisks, and that's if this movie makes $1 billion at the box office, domestically, crypto only. like that whole thing, Toxic 2 Avenger, like all the, like, that was such a beautiful, like, thing at the end of the movie, was, like, all of the hints of what the sequel's gonna be, and I'm like, that's fantastic, I love this. And then I'm like, so then to see that it got 11th place, I'm like, oh, we're never going to get a Toxic Avenger 2. There ain't no way this film that has made $2.2 million worldwide and opened with 1.7 on the first thing. Like,
though, if it's a limited release of an unrated movie, like there's some huge caveats on this one.
Yes, true.
I am more curious to see if we do. I think we might get more Toxic Avenger. But what it might be is it might be the George of the Jungle 2 recipe of like we're gonna cut back like crazy. We'll make references to the fact that we're doing it, and like we're just gonna have more fun with this. Because at the end of the day, like it's not like Troma doesn't know how to make a movie with only $500,000.
Right. I mean, being completely honest, I will absolutely love if there is a sequel to this Toxic Avenger film, and Toxic Avenger is not a little person. Like, and we're just like
it's not Peter Dinklage.
It's not Peter Dinklage. It's not Wee Man stepping in.
Knees.
Yeah. No, it's not tiptoes. He's just like, because like that was the other thing is that like they never really like talked about the fact that he was not like a normal sized human. Like
I mean, look, it's Dinklage's it's Dinklage's mission. Like he has openly talked about the idea that his hope is that he can play roles that is not the fucking point. You know, yes, he has had to take on those roles or chose to take on those roles. Had to, like somebody who held a gun to his head to be in fucking Game of Thrones. But like he's chosen to take on those roles because he's seen the merit in those specific roles when he has. But more often than not, he chooses to do these things that doesn't matter, right? I mean, go watch The Station Agent, one of his first major films. I mean, you'll see exactly what I mean. Is like it's not about him being a little person at all, right? And then there's this idea that as an audience member, how are you supposed to read him? You know, one of the biggest things I've ever, one of the biggest roles of his that I've ever had this conversation about is X-Men. Which X-Men is he in? He plays a scientist.
Yeah, he is in Days of Future Past. He ends up playing Trask, I think, which is so weird. Because we already saw
so there's this whole idea about how he's studying mutagenics and mutant like genes and shit, and it is never once addressed that he has dwarfism, and it's weird that the movie doesn't do that when the whole point is him looking for mutations in human genes and how they evolve over time. Not even a nod to I got into this because of, or like, you know, yes, I have this version of this, but this is a much more common one versus this. Like so there's this weird thing where you're just like, isn't he technically a mutant in this world? Which is like a fucked up thing to say, but like,
well, he doesn't have the X gene. He doesn't have the X gene. That would be the difference between the two of them. But then, like, what stood out for me was that was supposed to be the one that, like, linked the two timelines after First Class hit so big.
Right.
But, like...
Yeah, because that's the one that has Wolverine in it, right?
Yeah. But, you know, Bill Duke plays Bolivar Trask in X-Men The Last Stand. So it was one of those situations where, like, this is going to somehow fix the timeline by like
the
Bolivar.
X-Men movies are all over the fucking place.
Right? Like it was one of those where I'm just like, I love that Peter Dinklage is in this movie. Had this not been the film where like we're gonna combine the two timelines, I'd be fine. And I also give kudos to like Deadpool for never making that joke. Like we're going to take you to see the professor. Which one, McAvoy or Stewart? Either way, I'm not going. Like that's a good joke. Like, but. You know,
but the idea of him taking on these roles from time to time that do address like his dwarfism is like it's meaningful when he does and purposeful, and he openly talks about that stuff. Yeah. So like him getting to be in the Toxic Avenger and that not being part of the plot here is like is perfect, right? Yeah. Like this is just Peter Dinklage just getting to do something that he wants to be doing. Clearly he's having fun doing it. I haven't heard him come out and say that he had a miserable time making this movie, and from what's on screen, I don't know how you could besides the probably sitting in the fucking chair for what must have been hours, right?
He's not in the makeup. That's actually exactly what I was about to say. I wanted to give props to the person who's in the suit. Luisa Guerrero is the body of the Toxic Avenger.
All right.
And the whole thing is that, so Macon Blair, director, writer of this, it's not actually Dinklage under the makeup as Toxie. It's a tiny British actress named Luisa Guerrero. She's Portuguese, a complete badass, 110 degrees, 30 pounds of foam makeup, motors all over her face to move the eyebrows and stuff like that. And how they did it, because this is the really cool thing. Peter performed the whole movie on videotape as Toxie, just as himself. In a white room, he went through the whole thing, acted as it. And then she took the tapes, memorized his movements while he was saying the things and how she did it. She's been Teletubbies and Oompa Loompas, so she has a lot of experience with that. She does the physics, studies how he walks, his timing, his pauses, line delivery, replicates it all on set, and then 6 months later, Peter Dinklage comes back and records his lines as an interpretation of the physical things that she does on set. It is.
I mean, that is, yeah, that's really cool from a process standpoint. It also clearly saves them some money, right? Paying for Peter Dinklage to be there all that time is not the same as paying for or what's her name?
Luisa Guerrero. Luisa Guerrero.
All right. Hell yeah.
Yeah. We hire Peter Dinklage. Gets paid for that one day where he acts out the whole movie. Maybe it's 2 days. Maybe it's 2 days.
I don't think. I think it's a lot more than that. I
understand, but I'm saying
working on this for a few weeks, which for a trauma movie that would have been basically filming the entire thing back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying is that when it's just him, you're paying for only Peter Dinklage those days that he's on a sound set recording doing the whole movie, right?
Yeah,
all the other, it's not, you don't have Kevin Bacon there at the time. You don't have the actress who plays J.J. Donnelly, Taylor Page. You don't have, Jacob Tremblay's not there. So you have, PAs and things like that, people whose compensation is much lower. So you do that, and then when it's him doing voiceover work, it's a whole other pay scale that's involved in that. So it is a way to take a movie like this and save some money.
We haven't talked about Elijah Wood yet.
We have not talked about Elijah Wood yet.
Weird fucking wild role that I don't know, he goes to prison at the end and I feel kind of bad that he does.
I mean, he still broke the law.
No, I get it, but it's that thing where in movies he redeemed himself, right? So I just I like to think that they figure out a way to still keep him pretty kind-hearted, because let's face it, the idea of him going to prison, not just in the American justice system, but the American justice system through the lens of trauma is that dude's gonna come out a fucking villain afterwards. There's no way he's not going to be a fucking Batman level rogue at the end of this shit.
Right. And there's a chance that he gets exonerated on the charges if there's a sequel, right? What you did, you have the character witness of Winston Goose coming forward and saying, he saved my son, and it's really obvious that he was being abused by his brother, and it felt like he had no other option but to follow what he was asked to do. I would like to hope, my headcanon is that he does come out on the other end of it. There's that beautiful scene where he's you didn't tell me we were going to kill the kid. Well, you're the idiot who brought him here. What did you think was going to happen, Fritzy? God. Kevin Bacon's character. I mean, let just confirm this for me. Part of his character motivation is that he's got a small penis.
I do believe at some point they say something about a 5-inch something.
They call him the 5-inch, 5-inch phenomenon or something like that.
Yeah.
With honoring Robert the 5-inch phenomenon Garbinger.
Yeah. I do believe, but yes, I do believe that they are making penis jokes about him.
Yeah, and then they talk about the fact that Toxie's mutation involved a girthening. Yes, a severe girthening. That whole thing, and I'm just that's the type of subtle stuff where they didn't we didn't see anything, we didn't show anything on that. It was just it was well done, it was fun. Now we're gonna get to the sad part. Hopefully we have some happy stuff to do it. Seejie, I don't see why this movie was any worse than The Crow last year. Can we talk about that?
Do you mean like in terms of quality?
Not. I mean, in terms of quality, The Crow was a masterpiece next to this movie. Like there was real money on the screen in The Crow, but people's reaction to The Crow, I if they love this, I think they would love The Crow, and we loved The Crow, right? I don't want to put words in your mouth, but The Crow from last year
enjoyed that film.
was such a good movie.
I've been itching to watch it again.
I have been too. I'm hoping that this October I can actually go through the Crow movies with like the family. Like, come on, get it. Like, they're good films. I know that he kind of looks scary, but they're pretty good movies. He's just an
you gotta let me
avenging
know if you
angel.
guys watch the David Boreanaz one, because I will get down on that shit with you so fast.
Oh, I would love to. I would absolutely. I want to go through all. I want to watch Stairway to Heaven. Right? I tracked it down. I want to watch the whole series of Stairway to Heaven. Like, The Crow was such an awakening for me. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so this movie is being like blatant and saying that we're trying to embody the exploitation spirit of trauma films. And I get that. So like the way that people attacked, you know what? I'll even throw Hellboy the Crooked Fucking Man in there. And the way that people attacked that movie in 2024. Like, I feel like this is on that same level, but it's not going to get the same sort of like vitriol hurled at it.
I think this gets the benefit of Lloyd Kaufman and his entire attitude about filmmaking being what made the original product, right?
Yeah.
It's this idea that, like, of course they're going to do a remake. Of course they're going to do a gritty remake. It's satire. And of course it's going to be this weird thing that gets fucking shelved for years and then comes out unrated, even though we all know that there's a rated version waiting. Like, right. This movie, as weird as this movie is, and as fun and as goofy and as memorable and nostalgic and everything that this movie is, putting it in the same realm as The Crow and Hellboy and stuff like that for us, I agree with you on all of that, but I think the difference is that the earnest film history that Hellboy especially has with Guillermo del Toro and everything going on there, right? But then, you know, The Crow has somehow developed a very earnest film history over its time, right, in the culture. Like, this is not a sacred cow, right?
True.
As much as the Toxic Avenger is beloved, it is not a sacred cow.
Yeah, that's a very poignantly beautiful way to say that, Seejie. All credit to you for that, sir. I guess, like, and because it was never a sacred cow for me with The Crow, I didn't get there. It also wasn't that way for me with Hellboy, right? Like, the first Hellboy I saw was the David Harbour. Well, no, I saw Golden Army before, and I had not seen the first Hellboy film in its entirety, start to finish, until we covered it for the show. God, was that last January? Was it this January? Yeah. When the fuck did we watch Hellboy? So it must have been last year, because that was still when we were doing one every month. So, like, I liked the David Harbour one in 2019. I loved it because it had more of the stuff of Hellboy that I enjoy. The, like, investigative portions of it and things like that. Not just him being a badass.
Yeah, and then, like, turning, like, old texts on its head with all the Alice in Wonderland stuff and things like that.
Yeah.
And that not even being, like, the plot, right? Like, that was just background dressing.
And the Camelot stuff. The idea of the fact that, like, Hellboy is the once and future king of Arthur. Like, that was awesome. Like, I liked that a lot. That really worked for me. I like that type of mythology. The Last Witch Hunter jumps to mind as, like, a movie that, like, really worked for me, that people were like, that was terrible.
Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman once again, right?
Yeah,
Isn't that Nicolas Cage and him? Isn't it?
No. You're thinking
you're talking about...
I'm talking about
the Vin Diesel one.
Yeah.
I was talking about Season of the Witch. You're talking about Last Witch Hunter. Yeah.
But again, you're still there with that. So
yes.
I guess it is like the lack of sacred cow on Toxic Avenger. But there have to be some people who think of it as a sacred cow, right? Like, I can't imagine that they don't exist out there.
But I think more it's that if you're... This is going to be giving people a lot of credit. But this idea of being the ideal fan of a Toxic Avenger film is the kind of person that would embrace what this movie is doing. Right? Like,
I would certainly hope
the
so.
Toxic Avenger, for all the reasons that we like the Toxic Avenger, then they understand, just like we do, that this is
a natural, funny, organic way for me to get to see the Toxic Avenger in theaters again. And who the fuck isn't going to enjoy that?
Yeah. Like, it almost makes me sad what I read about Kevin Smith with this one, where he was, like, approached to be a director, I think around, like, 2016, but felt, let me get the actual line. Where is it? Approached to direct, he disagreed with the studio's desire to start a franchise, Marvelize it. And it's like, but Toxic Avenger was already, like, it became a franchise. There wasn't just one movie, there were three sequels. What are you talking about? Like,
I'm going to give Smith credit here, though, in saying that the only way that works is that if you don't focus on franchising it.
Right.
If you're not focusing on making a franchise, but rather making one good fucking movie that just happens to be good enough to merit more in that world, that is the way you want to approach it.
Yes, I agree. I do agree.
I'm willing to believe that that's more where he disagreed than anything else. Not that he didn't see the potential for the franchise, but that's not how he makes movies. And it isn't. It's just not. That's not how he makes
anything. He didn't make, like, Clerks. They were expected to return in Dogma, right? Like, and then Dogma is where Clerks 2 is made as a reference. But I'm talking more about the fact that, like, Macon Blair, he makes all of those beautiful references that, like, we're trying to, like you said, all the toyetic stuff in it and things like that. Like, but you still, like, we live in a world where every movie has the potential to be a franchise. So if you're rebooting that film, right? Like, you have to make those nods in the satire to, like, will this be a sequel? Like what we talked about with JJ and the fact that, like, in a sequel movie, she would have a bigger mutation, right? Or like Kissy, she's not dead after the events of this film, right? Like, that's the other thing, is right before we see Goose making his grilled cheese, there is that one moment where she is shown alive, mumbling to herself. Like that.
Yeah, and I will also say this. I was a huge Smith fan. I have talked about him a lot on this show and what I love about his work. He also just is not the kind of person to carry a franchise, and I think that I don't think he's the kind of artist that wants to try that.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Well, I mean,
if they really wanted somebody to make it into a franchise, he knew he was not the right person to be the one to handle that.
I guess where it feels just a little bit strange is, like, the satire that he's done in things like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, that, like, really also sort of tap into the same market for, like, comedy or satire that Blair is getting into with this film. Is like, so he's aware of it, right? Like, it exists and he gets it because with Iron Bob,
we don't know how much their attitude has changed over the last.
That's true.
Years.
That's a good point. I just feel like to, like, just say, like, you're trying to Marvelize it. I think that was one of the things that made this film sing. Was the fact that they leaned into the fact that every movie, it has to, like, and we're talking, like, post-Batman Returns. It's been in the water for, like, 30 years at this point.
Yeah.
That, like, if you're making a superhero movie, we want to see if we can get the Happy Meal toy. We want to see if we can get the toy line, right? I mean, even going back as far as, like, Batman, the original, 89, and the fact that the toys were impossible to get in 1989.
Well, and I think that from a creative marketing standpoint, you want to do something that you can have a deep world on, so that you can do all sorts of weird shit. You know, you get the cartoon show where you touch on character. You don't. It's a shortcut. It's a shortcut to creative work.
Yeah.
And that's how studios see it, right? And the problem is that as a filmmaker, you can't look at it that way. You can't look at making a film as a shortcut to just more films, because then you end up with movies where not much happens in them, and then people fucking shit on them
about that. Yeah.
Franchises like Quantumania would like to talk to you about what happens when you do that, right? And I think that, considering the film landscape where it was back in 2016, considering the kind of filmmaker that Kevin Smith is, considering what this movie ended up being once it finally came out,
right,
I can 100% understand why, and in that moment, he said no.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he would even regret it even after seeing what this movie is, because, let's face it, this movie, is great as it is, and I don't think he's the kind of filmmaker to watch a movie being like, oh, I could have done this better. Like, no, that's not the kind of guy he's ever struck me as.
Certainly agree with you on that one, and that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. It's just like, I think that, like, to just...
Except for maybe Human Centipede, in which he then went mid-Tusk, and there's some arguments to be made about that. That might be the one time.
Movie. It is. It's one of those... You're right, though. Like, I don't think you'd want to be tied to it. I don't want to do something where you're trying to make this huge franchise. All of those things, I get it. But I think just outright denying that part of it... Because I think that this film, again, walked a really great line and highlighted a lot of the issues with, like, that whole thing. Right? Like, I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I'm a little bummed that we're not... Loved... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, I am bummed we're not going to get sequels either. I'm bummed that there's probably not going to be more in this world. But I think that one of the things that I really loved was that it established a world where we know this kind of ridiculousness exists. And so, because of that, there's this wide open, almost like Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers-esque universe that they could talk about of the Earth and beyond. Like, I don't doubt for a second aliens could show up in this world. I don't doubt for a second that ghosts exist. I don't doubt, like there's all of this other stuff that could happen in this world because of what they did with the silliness and the creativeness of this one. That made me really excited to see where things were gonna go and when things got over the top. The fucking end of this movie, this is the last thing that I think I have to say.
Please do. I'm excited.
Is one of the most beautiful, ridiculous moments I have ever seen on a big screen cinema. In fact, probably in any movie ever. That moment when what is the name of that creature at the end? Like, what do we call it?
Well, let's see what the film calls it.
But, like, man, that creature that Bacon's character turns into, because it's not him in the end, right? It's
no.
They do the same thing with him that they did with Dinklage, right? Is that, like, it's a different actor under all the makeup, but, like, so he does the voice work.
Monster Garbinger is what it's referred to as.
Monster Garbinger.
And that's played by Spencer Wilder.
When they overturn him into the engine of that car, and then somehow it turns into a fucking blender. I don't know how. I don't know why. But, like, it is just fucking gorgeous, and I laughed hard. Like, I laughed hard. And I wasn't the only one in the theater. Like, it was just funny and stupid and, like, it was ridiculous. And, like, that was perfect. It was this perfect cathartic moment at the end of this movie to see that. This movie knew exactly what it wanted to be, and I'm so glad that we actually got to see it. I'm really happy with this, like, trend right now of saving these movies, with the idea that we're going to see Coyote versus Acme soon too, and I can only hope that somebody dips into the fucking Batgirl of it all.
I would love it. I'd absolutely love it. I mean, we're seeing, I don't know, but I am happy we saw this one. I think that is really good, and I don't know, like, I don't want it to be that it finished 11th. Like, I want it to go the way Seejie said it. I want that to be the first Toxic Avenger wasn't even on the damn chart, right? Like, let's look that up while I'm on Box Office Mojo. Toxic Avenger, 1984. Nothing. It's got nothing listed for it.
No, these were not the kind of movies where you track that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some bookie somewhere connected to the Russian mob that was probably tracking it real close, though.
Yeah, right? You write what you know. So the idea that the whole pharmaceutical company is bankrolled by gangsters, I mean, like, it's such classic comic book shit. It's dark, man. This is the type of stuff. And it is also, and as much as, like, it is bullshit, right? I understand why people are tired of it. It is also that classic of the villain is just a inversion of the hero, right? That Garbinger eventually becomes a mutant himself is fucking Iron Man fighting the Ironmonger. It is Captain America fighting Red Skull, who also got a super soldier serum from her skin, right? It's Morbius.
But I will say that, like, their choice to make him a completely different type of monster was, like, at least gave you a little bit of wiggle room, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, like you pointed out earlier, he just becomes this, like, weird, like, beast-like figure. He is nothing like Winston.
Yeah. Where the fuck did he get that axe from? I loved that he had a battle axe, but he's like, battle axe! And I'm like, the fuck did that come from? I don't care. This is awesome. Like, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'm so happy that we were in the theaters around the same time when we saw it. And like somewhere out there, Seejie, someone is watching The Toxic Avenger and thinking, man, it'd be great if he was by my side while I was watching it. But we were in theaters, man, at the same time, experiencing the beauty of The Toxic Avenger. Let us hang our hats upon that. It's a good time. It was a good time. And I do recommend it. Even though we've talked about it as much as we did here, there's still a lot to be experienced. So yeah, this is 450 Siege, and I do not think we were talking about Sing Street and Shantae. Sing Street, by the way, still holds up. God damn, is that movie beautiful. I'm so happy I watched it this morning. I've been watching a movie each morning, and I kind of dig it. It kind of sets my day off like I've already accomplished something. Huge air quotes around that, because like, what is it? Like, what have you really accomplished when you sat and watched a movie? But like it kind of just kicks everything off on like a good foot to do that. Yeah, so yeah. I enjoyed that. But is there anything you make sure you get out to the people in the fact that like this is the 450th episode of the Say Report, Seejie? Here's your floor.
Man, 450 is huge. There's a lot of podcasts. This is the same speech I feel like I give every time. There's not a lot of shows that make it this far. TV shows, podcasts, radio shows, whatever the fuck. Like,
right.
The fact that we have gotten to do this for as long as we have, been able to put up with doing this for as long as we have, and consistently done what we do here, is one of my favorite things. And like, it is so nice to have a piece of me be consistent, because that is not always the case. And I am really happy that people out there enjoy it when they hear it, and all of that. So just thank you, I guess, is the big thing.
Yeah. I mean, thank you for every episode that you listen to, but like, I don't know if we'd still be doing this as long as we have been, if not for those little conversations that I have with people about episodes or who bring stuff up. Like it does bring a smile to our face knowing that there are listeners out there, and when you do approach us. There was a moment where I was going to poll the audience on like, should we do this? But I don't remember what that was. I'm going to be honest. It'll come there. Oh! That's what we have to talk about. I'm sorry. We do need to talk about... Do you remember the trailers that played before The Toxic Avenger for you?
Yeah, it was like Conjuring 3.
The Conjuring 4. It's actually the fourth Conjuring film.
Conjuring 4, whatever, the final Conjuring or whatever the fuck they're calling it. I'm trying to think if I can think of anything else. I don't think there was too many others, but it was in that vein. It wasn't anything too weird.
So, like... This is what I got. So, like, Shelby Oaks, which is a horror film, so I get it. Then The Smashing Machine, the Mark Kerr bio, I did pick. Get, okay, yeah, so that...
The Safdie brother directed, right?
Yeah, not Benny, the other one. John or Josh Safdie. I like that they're each directing movies. Like, I think that's very interesting. Xeno, did you get a trailer for Xeno? That movie looks fucking cool. It's like E.T. if E.T. were a gorilla. Like, it's... Okay. Yeah, that was cool. And then I got Mortal Kombat 2, which was my first Mortal Kombat 2 trailer experience. Was not expecting, like, a real movie trailer before this. Tron Ares? I got the Tron Ares, so, like, a Disney movie.
That one. Like this time, but I have gotten it recently. I think I got it when I saw Superman.
Right, and that tracks. Yeah. Like getting it before Toxic Avenger Unrated, I wasn't expecting that. I'll be honest with you. Then Five Nights at Freddy's 2, again tracks with the whole thing of it, horror, Blumhouse, blah blah blah. And then this is Spinal Tap 2, and I'm just like,
oh man,
this is like I like that. This is here too for like parody wise, but the fact of like Tron Ares and Mortal Kombat 2, because all the other ones are like. They're like smaller releases, like A22s or Blumhouse or something like that. But to get a Warner Brothers film and a friggin' Disney film as trailers before The Toxic Avenger Unrated was wild to me. Absolutely wild.
Yeah, I wish I lived in a place where I could experience something like that. Unfortunately, I love my room view, but it is a dirt theater. Like it is through and through, like sticky floors and that
You know what
shit.
though?
Like,
when that's part of the aesthetic, I dig it. Like I will say this, I have a lot of these rules about seeing it. Toxic Avenger showed in the Director's Hall, which is no longer the Director's Hall. With the reset of the seating, it is now full rows. There's no middle lane, so there's not lights to your left and to your right like there was before for people to go up and down the stairs. They don't serve food in there anymore. So all of the things that made it difficult to watch a film in the Director's Hall are gone, but it's still a relatively small theater. But I'm not bad about that. But then, Caught Stealing was in one of the big theaters. It wasn't in laser projection, because that's for Jaws. Which, on one hand, I'm happy for, but then I feel bad for something like Caught Stealing. That, like, do you think they're aware when they get that, like, they're going to be going up against a 50-year-old film that everybody kind of agrees is fantastic? Like,
yeah, well, and like as far as being in laser projection, I don't know what kind of filmmaker Aronofsky is, but he doesn't strike me as the kind that was like, I need this to be on the IMAX screen. He's not
right,
Nolan.
Yeah. True. That's very true. I mean, we'll talk about it.
The kind of movie that I understand it is,
Yeah, that's why we're gonna hold off. That's why I'm not. That's why I'm not saying anything. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure.
It feels like the kind of film that makes sense in a smaller, screen anyway.
Yeah, like it would. It worked in that theater. It did work for it. But also they did the thing where, like, you know what, you're not wrong, because remember when, like, you'd be in one of those larger areas and the curtains would close for certain movies to, like, block off the sides of the screen. That should have happened for Caught Stealing, and it didn't. Like, there were large black bars on the sides of the viewing area where, like, they're just kind of illuminated because light is being thrown at this screen. So that was weird. Sorry, I know that we were winding it down, but then I remembered, I really wanted to talk about the fact that I got a Disney trailer before Toxic Avenger. Because that's the world we live in now, where nobody cares at all. But yeah, no. So yes, it's 4:50. Thank you to anyone who's ever listened, anyone who is listening. If you want to keep the conversation going, we do have the Discord still. Invitation to join are available wherever we are on social media. So that is, as of this recording, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter. We're working on some other things. We didn't get them done in time for this episode. But we have some plans in the works, some fun things for you guys. That, we'll, you know what? I kind of want to just finish Adam Sandler at this point. I'll be honest with you. And then I'll have all that creative juice, like, to put into something else for everybody. But yes, but join the Discord, and if you're afraid to go on social media, I get it. It's a hellscape right now. You can send an email to us directly, thesayreport@gmail.com, and we can facilitate you with an invitation to the Discord, which is relatively safe right now, right? I don't think that there's any dangerous bangers going on there. If you're a listener who's in the Discord and you're, like, not feeling safe to walk home at night in our Discord, please let us know, and we'll do what we can do for you. But you can also always just email us too. Again, it's thesayreport@gmail.com. And as always, if it's for me, Devon Decker, or for him, Seejie Sarowick, just put our first name in the subject line, and we will make sure that it is distributed appropriately to the proper Say Reporter that you are trying to get in touch with. And that has worked so far. I have not seen any of the love letters that Seejie has received from our dozens of fans. But yeah, so last look, Siege. Anything else you want to say to the people?
No. Okay. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you for 450 more.
All right, cool. Here's what I will also say: Will is officially a father. He welcomed his child into the world between our recording, while we were recording our Before Sunrise episode, our very special episode. He was becoming a dad. So, like, big round of applause to Will, right? We've been recording 450 episodes of this podcast. He's been out getting married and having a kid, right? But what is the measure of success for a man, CJ? I don't know. We're not going to know. But Will, if you're not too sleep deprived, I think it's time for you to bring us home. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Seejie Sarowick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, We'll see you next time.